Thank you. And welcome to the Wareham Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, July 6th, 2022. We have Kwame, Denise, Carol, Michael, Sandy, and Nicole, our associate, on our line. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so, because I think that's everybody. We have minutes, and I've been informed that 91-101 Faring Hill Road has requested a continuance, and so has 17 Murphy Street. If there's anybody on the line for those two hearings, they will be continued when we reach them. We have minutes. We have April 20th, 2022. Kwame, are they set to go?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you make a motion to accept them?
I move that we accept.
No, the clerk will make the motion.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Carol.
I make a motion to accept the meeting notes of, what was that, April?
Yep, April 20th.
April 20th, 2022.
Second.
And I have a second, and all in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy, 500. The next set of meeting minutes are May 4th.
Dave do them?
Kwame needs to make the motion. He's the clerk.
I make a motion to accept the meeting notes of May 4th, 2022.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy, 500. Next set of minutes is May 18th.
I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes for May 18th, 2022.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Mike,
Yep.
Sandy, yes. 500. And then there's minutes of June 1st.
I would like to accept the minutes for June 1st, 2022.
I have a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Mike,
Yep.
Sandy, they're approved 500. So Kwame, if you could start with our first hearing, please.
Yes, ma'am. This is a notice of public hearing pursuant of the provisions of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 6th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. on the request of determination of applicability for Devin and Melissa Balboni, 54 Great Neck Road, East Wareham, Mass. 02538, to remove trees, install fencing, and to create a foot locating on the Assessor Map 18 lot 102-A, 54 Great Neck Road, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there any? That's it. Anybody here would like to represent this project? Please identify yourself.
Unmute. Sorry about that. I was just on mute. Devin Balboni and Melissa Balboni.
Okay. Thank you, Devin and Melissa. Mr. Bichette will read to the project and we'll ask you if you have any comments, okay?
Mhm.
All right, Mr. Bichette. I hope you're not still on mute.
Sorry about that.
If you can't hear you.
Okay, how about now?
You're
Now we
good.
can-
Okay, so the project site is at 54 Great Neck Road, and the project involves the removal of trees, to install fencing, and to create a footpath at this site in the buffer zone to wetlands and adjacent to a salt marsh. So it's proposed to remove several trees within the buffer zone to wetlands at this site. The applicant is looking to create a fenced-in yard area, and there's some trees within the boundary or in close proximity to where they want to put the fenced-in area, and they're concerned with some of these trees being too close to that area. So they wanted to remove those and again, install the fenced-in area that's shown on the plan. And there is also a request to create a footpath no more than 4 feet wide down to the edge of the marsh. So that is something that is allowed under the bylaw to access the coastal resource areas. In terms of the tree cutting, it is outside the 30-foot no activity zone along with the fencing. So I would recommend the approval of the proposed activities with a negative determination number 2.
Thank you. Devin, Melissa, is there anything you would like to add to his comments?
No, that's about it. Just the fence, the trees, because some of them are large enough that we believe they're a danger to our house, and the fence we want to put up. And then the footpaths just so we can have access.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Kwame,
Thank you. No questions.
Denise,
When I was out to the property, there were orange tags around trees and yellow tags. What significance? I'm assuming the orange were definitely going. What were the yellow tags?
The yellow tags were simply that I had caution tape from the builders that was sitting around. So, and then I ran out of the yellow caution tape, so I used duct tape.
But you ran
That is-
out of. So
Yeah,
are the yellow coming down or are they staying?
They're coming down. It was just simply, they were simply markers for me at first, and then I just left them up because we had you guys coming by.
Okay.
But they against them. They were just, it just simply be what I had on hand.
We ran out of one color.
Yeah.
There were no stakes for the fencing, so I couldn't tell exactly where it was going when I was out to the property.
It's kind of roughly marked on that map. It's supposed to be 50 feet out from our house. If you saw, the builder had put wood chips down, extending out from our property. So it's going to come up to those wood chips.
Okay, there was a small stone wall. I'm assuming it's going beyond that,
No, it's going before that.
before that, okay.
Yeah.
And
That
I did
was
not, I couldn't see where the footpath, I couldn't see a markings for the footpath that was out back.
I hadn't made any markings for it. I had roughly kind of done some raking and lifted up some logs out of an area just to clear a footing. And then
Mhm.
after that, Dave told me that I would have to get permission to make a footpath. So I just kind of stopped doing anything until I got permission.
And
So-
it would basically be almost right in the center of our backyard.
Yeah.
About the center of the yard. I was looking for the marker for the end of your property. I'm assuming that's what that one all the way out in the corner, an orange little flag was out there. Was that marking the end of your
Towards the
property?
right side of,
Correct, yes.
The back of our property goes all the way to the marsh. I'm not exactly sure which marker.
are you talking about the
Okay.
marker all the way on the right side of the house?
There was one all the way in the right corner, yes.
Yeah, that could be from where the tree line starts. I believe we have another, I think it was like 30 to
I'd have to look at
50.
it. I
Yeah, we
forget.
have to check, but I
Okay.
know that it does go a decent amount into the woods on that right side as well.
All right, so then we're talking about taking down approximately 15 trees.
If I think those are the ones that I was saying might land within the 100-foot boundary.
Do you know if it was ever around that many?
Is that what I wrote down? Yeah, about 15. Yeah, again, they're not all coming down right away. It was more not, I wanted to get approval for those.
Yeah, and a lot of them were pines. And we do get a pretty good, gust of wind off of the back there. So we were also just worried about them falling onto our fence or the house.
All right, thank you.
Carol, questions?
No questions.
Mike,
Yeah, you said some of these trees were selected because of poor landscaping duties?
So we were told by the tree guy from our neighbors that when they landscaped the area, they had dug the ground around the trees, destroying the root system. So that's why normally I don't like pines kind of near my house because those tend to fall. Oaks are generally more safe, and those oaks, I'm kind of worried with them having the root system taken up, that in about 2 to 3 years they may die. And that was kind of what the tree guy had given us.
Yeah, he basically said that they had damaged all of the root systems in those trees that were up in the wood chip area, and that all of those trees would die eventually. So he was saying that it would be safer to remove them in the future.
That's- Okay,
Anything else, Michael?
would it be possible to possibly replant some of those trees then? Because at least possibly some of them?
I mean, it's not 15, it's only like 5.
Sure, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
They're very large too.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do it.
I'm
No,
not sure how.
Yeah, or how to
was-
exactly go about.
That was at least something to at least consider, that's all.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Possibly somewhere like 3 to 5 trees, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, something to consider if they're taking the trees down because they're concerned about it falling on their property.
And-
I'm not
and-
sure they want to put trees back there that could fall on their property again, but I'm sure they will do
Yeah.
some landscaping with some bushes and stuff like that outside.
some-
of
No,
the-
we do.
Yeah.
We plan to make everything nice. It's not
Yeah,
like,
we definitely plan on some nice shrubbery and bushes once we have the whole yard ready.
'Cause some of those
Okay.
trees
Shapes like
certainly
that.
did look, some of those trees did look like in rough shape, and some of them did look a little, I'm not sure, better than others, let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
That was just one thing I noticed, that's all, so, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
no
Nicole,
problem.
Nicole, do you have any questions?
This might be a silly question, but if the footpath is going like roughly around the center of your backyard, I assume you're going to have a gate right there if you're putting a fence.
Yep.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I was understanding. That's all.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
no
Yep,
worries.
no problem.
Thank you. Is there anybody online that would like to comment on this project? Hearing and seeing none,
Move to close the hearing.
I
Second,
have a motion to close and a second to close the hearing. Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Michael,
Yep.
Sandy, yes, 500. The hearing is closed.
Move to accept the project with a -2.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael,
Yep.
Sandy, 500. Please contact Mr. Bichette before you start any work, but your project has been approved.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you,
Thank-
everybody.
Much. Have a good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.
Next one, please.
Okay. Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and Wareham Protection Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for the town of Wareham, GAF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to improve the Swiss Beach Playground by repaving the basketball court, installing new playground equipment in a pickleball court, and additionally to construct a footbridge located on Assessor's Map 50 Lot 10310 Roby Street, Wareham, Mass.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
At this
Yes.
point, I'm going to step away as I'm in a butter and need to recuse myself.
Thank you. Please make a note that Denise has left the meeting at 6:47. Okay, is there anybody here that will represent this project?
Bill Madden from GAF Engineering here on behalf of the town of Wareham.
Thank you. Mr. Bichette will read to the project.
Okay. Okay, so the project site is at the Swifts Beach Playground. And the project involves the reconstruction of the Swift Speech Playground and the construction of a footbridge. And this is in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland, salt marsh, and within land subject to coastal storm flowage. And the site is also within the estimated habitat of rare and endangered species. New playground equipment would be installed in the northern end of the playground property within the perimeter of the box designated on the plan for the playground equipment. The playground equipment area would have concrete footings installed to anchor the equipment in place. The existing basketball court is to be removed and replaced with a new basketball court, which would be relocated further from the edge of the wetlands and closer towards the road, as shown on the plan. A new pickleball court is also proposed adjacent to the new basketball court. And this would be approximately 20 by 44 feet in size. Another feature that's proposed is a concrete slab as a base for a pavilion that is to be constructed. And this concrete slab would be 20 by 20 feet in size. Also proposed is a footbridge that would span the tidal creek between the playground property and the adjacent town beach property. Sonotube footings would be installed to support the footbridge. The plan shows a 6-foot wide bridge. And in discussion at the site, I recommended that that be reduced to a 4-foot wide bridge to minimize any impacts in area alteration to the salt marsh and the coastal beach. There is currently a small illegally constructed footbridge that is there right now. This would be removed and replaced with the new proposed footbridge. The plan also would propose to install a surface material to the existing footpath, which is a path worn over the salt marsh. So again, as discussed at the site, I stated that there should not be any material placed on the salt marsh. So I would recommend that that not be incorporated to the plan. We did receive a DEP file number for this project, and they did have some concerns relative to any new alterations to bordering vegetated wetland in terms of that feature of the path leading to the footbridge. So again, that kind of falls in line with what I just described, is that should not be something that is incorporated as part of the project. We did not receive any comments from Mass Natural Heritage Program relative to their review of this project in terms of impacts or potential impacts to endangered species habitat. So because we do not have that information, I would recommend that the hearing be continued for their comments to the next meeting, which is July 20th.
Thank you. Mr. Madden, excuse me, before you, I shouldn't have made this statement earlier. Yes, I am a member of the Open Space Committee and have been dealing with this project for quite a few months. I am also a member of CPC, which has promoted and got support from town meeting for the funds for not only this engineering plan, but for the playground. I have no financial connections to any of this. I just wanted you to know that I may know more about this project than what you're going to be presented tonight. And so I just needed to make that statement. Thank you. Mr. Madden, your turn.
I think Dave did a pretty good job of explaining the project. We understand we need to revise the footbridge width to 4 feet and what have you, and eliminate the stabilized stone dust path that leads up to it. We did have some discussion on site as to how we're going to make access to that footbridge handicap accessible. But I think that there, as Dave pointed out, there's a few regulations that might restrict what we'd prefer to do. Looking at the surface of the ground in the field out there, it does seem pretty stable. I mean, very close to what we might get with the stabilized sand. So I understand that I need to make a plan revision associated with that. There were a couple of boulders or large rocks that were sticking out in the area of the plan. We talked about perhaps breaking off the top of those just a little bit below grade. I don't know if we wanted to elaborate a little on that or include that in the discussion moving the project forward, but that would be something that we probably would like to consider doing, given the fact that they're located almost in the middle of the path, I think, in both instances. I think it would just improve the ability to traverse that path to get to the footbridge. As far as the basketball court goes, it is a reconstruction more than a repaving. It is being moved a little bit further away from the BBW, immediately adjacent to that, to the north, let's call it, is that pickleball court, the pavilion, and the playground equipment. That's really one of the major focuses of the project. We do show a footpath on the inside of the chain link fence. I think we actually called to replace that fence as well, kind of to improve the overall aesthetics down there. It's a little on the old side, looks a little used, but that's part of the plan as well. There's a gate shown. I think the gate location looks to be very similar to the gate. Well, no, it isn't. I see the gate location on the plan. So a new gate would need to be installed, but that footpath, that pervious stabilized stone footpath is going to extend just from the north to the south and intersect at the path between the pickleball court and the basketball court. That open space field, a multi-purpose field, if you want to call it that. We talked about loaming and seeding it as required on the plan, but at the site inspection, we thought that maybe we wouldn't want to, loam and seed it, but perhaps just overseed that area, slice seed it, plug aerate it and overseed, something along those lines. So that's my recollection of a couple of things that we talked about out there. But other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have relative to the project.
Okay, thank you. Kwame, start with you.
Yes, okay, so I mean, I really like this project. I think it's well deserved, especially in that area. And we can actually probably use this moving forward for other things around the area. I did read the stormwater report. That was interesting. I think I'll save my questions for that for some other time. But the chain link fence, is that something that's going to be just around the basketball court, Bill?
No, the chain link fence that I was speaking at is the one that's right adjacent to Circle Drive, across from Pond Beach and what have you. And there's just a small plastic fence proposed at the rear of the basketball court to collect basketballs as they collect air balls as they may miss the hoop occasionally. What have you, but that's what was intended there.
Okay. And there was a mention of how can I say this? Now you're gonna repave the basketball court and the pickleball area.
Yeah, the basketball court's being relocated, so it's going to be excavated from its current location, expanded a little bit more to the, I don't know, the east, I guess, let's call it. And we'll fill in, I don't mean it in the context of filling, but we'll re-landscape the area that was once occupied by the basketball court. They'll be within that 30-foot no activity zone, but it'll be a stabilization activity going on there. But it's a new court, new pickleball court, new construction from the get-go on that.
And what kind of material is that going to be for the basketball court?
We're going to make it out of bituminous concrete asphalt surface.
Okay.
With painted.
Excellent. And there was mention of, I mean, when I walked that area, there was a lot of like on around the edges there, like poison ivy and all that other good stuff. Is that going to be maybe removed or?
Up by the playground equipment, that does come when, we staked out the area of the playground and, that fence line comes pretty close to the vegetation on the west side over there. So I think there is a need to do some trimming back of that vegetation and keep it from encroaching into the play area. I don't think there's a need to really remove it and grub it and take it off site and restabilize. I think that just some overhanging limbs and what have you, perhaps 5 feet back from the edge of the court might work out fairly well, but that would remove some of that. I think other than that, that vegetated area is a fair distance away from the play areas. So I think that's not as much a concern in those locations as it is by the play area.
And 3 little quick things. I guess the question is like maybe trash, staging for the equipment, and also and not really, I guess, a complaint, but what do you think is going to be done with and I don't know if this fits in this area of the level of what we're talking about, but the cars that are entering the beach area. I mean, will there be some kind of like, like you have those wooden, it's not wooden, they're like poles that is in the ground. Will there be something like that on the other side maybe? I don't even see that on the plan, but I mean, that's something to prevent the cars that going on the beach, because that's always an issue over there.
I'm just looking for those posts. If you go to the south end of the site where the concrete pad is, there's some, I think they look like utility poles or piles that have been cut off and put in there. I think that was perhaps installed. I don't know for certain, but may have been to keep people from driving from that parking lot that's a little bit further south into the play field. So that might have been the purpose for that. The parking area, the existing paved parking lot that exists down there at the southerly end of the site, that's intended to remain the way it is. And that would be the parking area for, I think, people that might be utilizing that play area. For handicap accessibility, we would expect that it would be a drop-off type situation where they might be dropped off on Circle Drive where the gates are, where the sidewalk is, to provide that access to the playground, pickleball court, and the basketball court. And when we were conducting the site inspection, it looks to me that that's a routine type of situation down there where quite a number of people actually got dropped off at the parking lot, went to the beach, and the vehicle left. So, we expect that is probably going to be one of the ways that the playground is going to be used. It's going to be a drop off at the gates, and people would just leave and come back, pick up their family at a later date.
Excellent. Okay.
But there's nothing to prevent a connection between our parking lot and the other parking lot at Swift's Beach, if that's what you're referring to.
I knew that was a kind of like a hit and miss question. And I guess there's another one of those oddball questions too, but lighting. I mean,
no lighting is proposed.
No lighting is proposed. Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Carol,
No questions at this time.
Michael,
I may have missed it earlier. What fill is going to be used for the playground?
Well, there won't be any fill there other than base material for the basketball courts. I think we call for 2-inch minus gravel, like 8 inches or so. There's a detail on the plan that calls that out. And that
he's
would be
questioning Bill,
No,
he's
no,
asking
no.
the
The
sorry, he's
playground.
asking the
Oh,
playground.
you know something? I don't have the specifics on that playground. I think the people that are providing it's some appropriate material. I don't know what it is. I'll have that for you for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Nicole, any questions?
I don't think so, thank you.
Okay, my turn. The current chain link fence that's there now, they're proposing a replacement for the whole length of the field, is that correct?
That's what we show, yes.
Is there any in stipulation for that to have 4 to 6 inches from ground to the edge of the chain link fence for critter movement? Because right now that fence goes to the ground. And if we're going to put a brand new fence, I'd like to have some flexibility for those things, those 4-legged things to move.
Yeah, I think that's discretionary at the direction of the commission on that. Typically, we do that fence when we're in a, natural heritage endangered species area, but I mean, the same philosophy can hold true any place for that matter. And if it's a desire of the commission to raise the bottom of the fence 4 to 6 inches above grade, there'd be no problem doing that.
Since the whole length of the play area and field is vegetated wetlands, I'm sure there are things that like to go bump in the night. Kwame brought it up and I'm going to bring it up. Is there any way to put some type of restriction on the edge of that parking lot to prevent traffic from going from one parking area to another? I know when CPC made the grant request for this engineering plan, that was one of our requests, is that we find a way of preventing erosion to the beach area because of vehicle traffic.
I would say we could add a row of boulders, something along those lines, between the 2 parking lots, or just at the end of our parking lot. I mean, a boulder is an inexpensive thing to place there. If there's a desire to have something that's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, then we could put something else there as well. I mean, the telephone poles, small cutoff piles, things of that nature, similar to what was at the end of the south end of the playing field or the multi-purpose field. That theme could be continued at the back side of the parking lot as well. So, we can do that if that's the desire of the commission. We'd be happy to put that on the plan.
All right.
And I just don't know if emergency access is a thing that we have to, be cognizant of at this location. I mean, the other parking lot does have good access coming down from, I don't know if it's not quite Swiss Beach Road over there, but it does have good access. I don't think we need to link 2 parking lots, but.
No, I was
Food for
thinking
thought.
leaving the other parking lot unobstructed, so it could be emergency access into this beach area, knowing that we cannot get a vehicle across that ditch to that 5 acres that was purchased with CPA funding. But you can get to it by the pump house, Ruggles Pump House, I think.
Yeah.
But I was that was one of my personal concerns, is that beach access be restricted, because every time I go down there, I take pictures of vehicle tire marks destroying that beach area. All right, I think that, but the basketball court will be a new construction, and so will the pickleball court. Bill, can you speak to, is it possible to take that pickleball court, and if you move it 90 degrees, you could make room for a second pickleball court? Because I know they're planning on trying to put in another pickleball court, but if your plan was to show 2 pickleball courts, then they wouldn't have to come back for an amended order of conditions to install the second one. Did that make sense?
Yes, understood completely. We could look at what we wanted to reorientate the existing pickleball court adjacent to the basketball court and show dotted in there for a future pickleball court. Is that what you might be thinking of?
That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
By indicating that, then they can very well start that new second pickleball court without coming back to conservation, because the site preparation has already been approved. Just a consideration, because I know they want more than one down there.
No, that's that's doable. I mean, if you want it rotated, I think that the only thing to be not necessarily concerned, just cognizant of is there's a drain manhole that's just to the north of the existing pickleball court. So we'd want to make sure that the arrangement of the courts
Yep.
doesn't put that thing at center court.
Oh, that would not be, yes, definitely. And it was asked what type of material the drop zone for the playground would be. Maybe somebody else on the line would be able to answer that, because I am concerned about a tidal flow in here, washing away all that material and where that material will end up once it's been flushed out of the playground. But we can talk about the material because it's certainly not part of this plan. I know there's going to be a picket fence around the play area. And then there's going to be the chain link fence around the whole area, around Circle Drive down to the parking lot. And I believe that answers my questions. I'm going to ask, is there anybody on the line that would like to comment on this project? Please identify yourself and we'll let you in one at a time.
Yes, good evening. My name is Rena. I have lots of questions. I didn't realize this was going to be, we were going to discuss the maintenance and parking. I thought this was strictly conservation and wetlands.
And I'm sorry, Rena, it is conservation and wetlands.
Okay, so I don't really want to talk about the maintenance piece of it as to who's going to secure it and lock the gates at night and make sure that people aren't, driving like, they've just come out of a bar room. Very unsafe conditions right now. So that needs to be addressed without a doubt. But more importantly, where is the drainage for this? That is a wetland. I mean, there's no other word to say but wetland. We see all kinds of wild animals, from turkeys to turtles. If there's less than an inch of rain, Pond Street, parking, handicap people, you would have to repave that entire road. We call at least 3 to 4 times a year to ask that to get filled in, because the potholes are so dangerous. I can't imagine someone in a wheelchair or a stroller. So the two huge issues here, without a doubt, is safety and flooding. That park gets flooded. Pickleball people go down there. I see them every day with shop vacs after a half an inch of rain. So the materials that are being used in this playground are absolutely essential. Why do it if it's going to get ruined?
Okay.
There's no
thank
way
you.
handicapped people can control this. I have a problem, and I'm luckily, thank God, not handicapped. I cannot walk down this road after dark, after dusk, because it's dangerous.
Okay, we're not here to talk about Circle Drive. We're this area.
I'm sorry, Pond
Sorry.
Street, Pond Street.
Yep, that's outside of what is being dealt with in this I mean, we're
Correct.
adding nothing new really to this existing piece of
Correct.
land that hasn't already been there, other than the pickleball court, which has been over the basketball, but this
Correct.
floods, no ands of buts about it. That's why we're here in conservation, because this is wetland and it will drain like it always has with the tidal flow into the parking lot. Yes, and Pond Street gets wet, but I don't think there's anything here we're doing that would add to the flooding that occurs on the neighboring streets.
It's the park, it's not just the neighboring streets.
It's not the street, it's the actual
Excuse
park.
me, no, I'm only speaking to one person at a time.
I'm
You
sorry.
can have your chance when we're done with Raina.
I'm done.
Anything
Thank
else?
you.
Okay, next person, please identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Tony, and the one question I had is the open area now that you're just leaving, it says you're gonna seed and loom it. Is that gonna be graded so that it does not flood, or you're just gonna kind
And-
of keep the same grade and let it flood?
In the conversation, we said we are not going to seed and we will not going to loam and seed it. We're just going to put additional grass seed on top of what's there. So we're making no alterations to the level of that particular field.
Okay.
We're not going to loam and reseed. We're gonna put some grass down and that type of stuff, so there'll be no disturbance of the land in that field.
All right, so the plan is to just allow it to keep doing what it's been doing over the years.
Yes, that is try to keep it as natural as it has been. Yes. Next,
When is
David,
the, this is Rena, I just want to know when the next meeting will be, and will there be a meeting regarding the maintenance of this project?
we haven't decided on, we're not, if we are to, we will be continuing this hearing because we have no natural heritage, and the next meeting would be June 20th,
July 20th?
July 20th.
July 20th, sorry, wrong month. I mean, the maintenance is, there is a maintenance plan included in the stormwater plan.
Where,
So
where
we-
can we receive a copy of the maintenance plan?
Bill Madden, is there a place in which they can get the,
I have that information, Sandy, but the maintenance plan that I think is being referred to is strictly for stormwater purposes. Bill, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if there's a maintenance plan that addresses the maintenance of the playground and the basketball court and all that.
it does, I mean, erosion controls are to be inspected daily, trash is to be picked up, and that's all associated with the construction component. If, to me,
Right.
regarding trash pickup, I would say that would be up to the organization that is going to take, that will watch over the playground. Is that answering your question?
What is the organization?
Isn't that the Swiss Beach?
So is that the Swift Beach Association that's from
That's-
made a Labor Day, or so I would like to know about. the
I do not
off-season.
know. I
Okay.
think that would be a good question for
So
that
that's a great
organization
question.
to
I will
answer your
refer that
question.
back to the Swift Speech Association
Yeah,
because.
because it's something that is not part of our wetland bylaws. Okay,
That's fine. We can
Thanks, when-
address that with them, see who's gonna be here over the fall and winter.
okay, next, please. Anybody else? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to continue the hearing until July 20th.
Make a motion to continue the hearing to July 20th.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Kwame,
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Sandy. Oh, wait a second. Nicole, did I ask you if you had questions?
I don't remember, but I don't have any.
Oh, okay. So we are continuing until July 20th, and Denise, if you're hearing me, you can come back in.
I'm back.
Okay. I did, wait a minute, I can't, wait. Did I take them, did everybody agree for the continuance study with roll call? I did a roll call, didn't I?
Yes.
For the continuance, okay. Okay, so Denise has returned at 7:16. All right. Thank you. Next one, please.
Okay, notice of public hearing pursuant of the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 6:30 on the notice of intent for Stephen and Diane McDonough, DAF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to remove and replace a wood deck, pergola, pavers, and stairs to extend a deck to modify the driveway located on Assessors Map 58, lots W67A, W68, and 101A, 24 Highland Bay Drive, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here representing this project?
I'm Bill Madden from GAF on behalf of Steve and Diane McDonough.
Thank you. Mr. Bichette?
Yeah, so again, this project site is at 24 Highland Bay Drive. And the project involves removing and replacing some existing features at this property that are in the buffer zone to a coastal bank and to salt marsh. There's an existing wood deck on what would be the south side of the property between the house and the property line that is proposed to be removed and replaced. That deck does appear to be expanded within the 30-foot no activity zone. So I do have some concerns about that. Also, on the other side of the house, there is also a concrete patio where there's going to be a deck built over that, but some of that again extends over an existing concrete wall. And so I just had a question as to what's going to go on with that. Some of the other features are more minor in nature in terms of the proposed cement concrete wall and cement concrete pad for the AC condenser. That's within an area that's disturbed as well already. So they are proposing to put in some erosion control around the work that's proposed. We do have a DEP file number for this project, but at this time I would like to see some modifications to address these expanded areas within the 30-foot no activity zone.
Hey, Bill?
Well, I thought we had a discussion going back some time ago about the altered manner of the lot, and everything that we're proposing there is going to be occurring on previously developed hardscape, if you will, on that lot. It's not like we're building, we may be expanding some of this, but it's all going on previously developed, previously altered land. And it's just creating more convenient living space for the people that are there. We're not altering any ground. We're not doing anything into the soil. We're not digging any holes. We're simply just spanning over existing structure that exists. And I didn't think that there was a problem in doing that, where even though we are in the 30-foot no activity zone, look on the sheet of existing conditions. If you look where that 30-foot no activity zone, about 75% of the lot is all contained within that area. I mean, we didn't propose anything out front in the lawn area. We didn't propose anything in a spot that was not previously developed. So we're taking advantage of the pre-developed nature of that lot in conducting the site improvements in a manner just to make life a little easier for the current occupants of the space. So, I mean, I didn't think that the 30-foot no activity zone would play a significant role in this one, given the fact that it's all concrete wall with wood placed on top of it. And I don't see any detriment to that. And I feel that it's consistent with your 30-foot no activity rule on land that has been developed. I mean, that has been one of the things that has been routinely approved by the commission's work on a previously developed site, and that's what we have here. I mean, look at it; it's developed almost.
Yeah, no, I think I was not seeing that correctly. That some of this was the way it was labeled. I agree that it's within the existing disturbed area. I was initially thinking that some of that was going beyond the hardscaped area, but if it's not, as I see it now, as I look more closely at the detail, then then I would agree that that should be allowed since it's already previously disturbed area.
Thank you on that one, because we were initially looking at the overhanging deck over the marsh, you know, beyond that stone wall to the west, you know, and that would have, I think that would have presented a little bit more problem, but thanks for bringing that up, Dave. Appreciate it.
Yep. No, that's what I initially thought I was seeing on that upper corner, but as I see it more closely, it's the inner wall that it's going over and not the outer wall, so that's fine.
Thank
So
you.
with that, I would recommend approval of the project.
Any questions for Kwame?
No questions. Thank you.
Denise?
I just wanted to note that when I was out at this site, there was no markings whatsoever as to what was going on this site. And if the homeowner hadn't been there, I wouldn't have had a clue what we were going to be talking about today. My only concern with the whole thing is the staircase where you're putting in the deck off of the wall going down into the marsh. There's a rough staircase of stone, broken stones and stuff down there. I think something should be done with that. It looks like it's a safety hazard, if that's how they're using, if that's what they're using to get down to their boat.
Yeah, I'm not certain on that. That's the thing that's noted on the right-hand side of the plan, existing concrete step. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, yes, it's just complete, it's broken up. There's some boulders that are like, or it's big, large stones that are off to the side. It looks extremely dangerous, and I think it should be addressed if that's what they're using and it's pre-existing. But I think it needs to be fixed so that they're not falling into the marsh when they're trying to get down to the water. See what I'm talking about, Bill?
Yeah, no, I understand fully. I think that I'd like to confer with them. You know, I'm kind of betwixt and between, because we'd like to have the hearing closed, which is fine. But, you know, something, an improvement such as this is, I think, something that they likely would want. We did not talk about that. And, you know, I think for the sake of 2 weeks, I would like to run that by them and see if it's,
Right, yeah.
something, if it is, yeah.
And I think truthfully that it is, because I discussed it with her a little bit that day. I noted
Yeah.
to her that those steps should probably be addressed.
The question, is it on their property?
That
Oh,
I
that's a
don't know.
better question, because it's not.
I really don't
Because
know.
it's not.
It does not look like it's on the property. It's over the property line.
And how do they get, I know that's how they get down to the marsh. How are they proposing to get down to the marsh still?
I think they would propose to do it the same way, but I think they might have a little difficulty with an improvement on somebody else's property unless they
Okay.
were given authorization to do it.
To do that, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know, it's just an issue. I can't see how they're getting down to that water safely.
Well. Yeah, but they can't
Work on,
do the improvement to somebody else's property, which means they probably put that stuff down without the other property owner proving it.
Yeah, who knows
But
who
that's
put it
another,
down?
yeah, I
Right.
don't know. That's another issue, not us.
Can I interrupt? Can I
In,
speak?
Stephen, in a minute, okay?
Okay, thank you.
When we'll go through with our questions on the board, and then you make your comments, and I'm sure you'll comment on that walkway.
It'll
Anything
clear
else,
up the whole
Denise?
situation. Thank you.
Denise?
that's all my
Anything else?
questions. Thank you.
Okay. Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
Questions, thank you.
Nicole?
No questions, thank you.
My question is, off the street, there is a proposed driveway pavers, but I didn't find that land already altered. I thought it was plantings of grass and, trees, not sorry, grass and shrubs. Dave, did you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do, and I was looking at that as well. So if that
Was that-
is not
that's-
currently altered, then it's within the 30-foot no activity and really shouldn't be approved as part of the project.
Okay, thank you. So I am going to ask Is there anybody who would like to comment on this project? I'm sure this is time for Stephen to come in and talk to us about it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you doing this for me. We inherited those stairs and I appreciate Denise being nervous about us. But on the left-hand side of where the pergola is, there is proposed steps going down to that level, which would allow us access to that area. I don't know if you can see it on the plan.
Steps.
Dave,
But
Dave,
that
you
only,
see to the-
that
sorry.
only goes, that goes down to the cement slab. Doesn't go down into the water.
No, well, if you walk along that wall, it's like 2 steps that are there. So we wouldn't be using that area that you were concerned about. It's just something that's already there, and it's just 2 steps to the water from that point of view.
And Steve, they're there already.
They're already there, yes. There are 2
So
granite
someone down the
slabs there.
line went beyond your property line and put them there. Okay,
Okay.
No, I think the granite steps that we would be using if we get the stairs by the pergola are on our property. The steps that we've been using that we inherited, and I don't think they're even steps, as Denise mentioned. We wouldn't even have to use that if we got the steps off the pergola.
Excellent.
okay. Somebody show me where are those steps?
The pergola is on the left-hand side of the house.
The steps are
Right
there.
there, proposed stairs to lower patio area. Those are the steps.
But that's to the lower patio area. That's not to the water.
If you okay, at the bottom of those stairs, if you take a right, if you walk across the whole length of the back, there are steps that go to the water that are on our property.
And they're there already.
And they're there already, yes.
And you're making no alterations to
We're
those.
not touching any of that. The only thing we're not touching any of that at all.
Okay,
It would be part of the stairs down to the first level would be part of the pergola. And once we're down there, everything else we wouldn't be
Okay.
touching.
so the dangerous steps you don't use now and you're not going to continue, you will not use them.
Well, we do use them because that's the only way we get down there, but we'd be eliminating that if we had the steps off of the pergola, which are in the proposal.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what's being proposed. Building new steps?
Yes.
There's
To
a
get
pergola on
from
the
sorry.
left-hand
the
side.
level down to here.
Yeah, you got steps coming off, yep. But that's still
would
not to
take
the
us-
water.
That would take us down to the first level.
Yes,
And then if you off of that level, there are steps that are already there that take us to the water that are on our
Okay.
property.
I just want to make clear, you're doing no alteration to access the water.
We're not changing anything on the water, correct?
Okay. All right, then my question is, what about the proposed expanded parking area that is not currently
Bill
altered?
Bill brought that up and he mentioned that was off the table anyway. So that's not a part of, we can scratch that.
So that has to come off the plan.
That has to come off the plan. That is correct.
Unless you just wanted to condition it that the additional driveway pavers is shown or not included. We can change the
Because-
plan. We'll do whatever you'd like.
Because there's nothing else holding up the approval of this, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anybody else online that would like to comment on, on this project? Hearing none, so Mr. Bichette, so we can make a standard order of conditions with the condition that the plans be modified to remove that set of pavers, proposed additional driveway pavers, correct? Can we do that, or do we?
Yes, or just make a condition that feature of the proposal is not approved as part of the order of conditions.
And therefore, we can move on approving this tonight, correct?
You can do that, yes.
All right, I've nobody else wants to comment on it. We've asked our questions. What would the commission like to do?
Like to move to close the hearing?
Second,
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Kwame,
Yes.
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Mike, Sandy, the hearing is closed.
Like to make a motion to accept the project with the standard order of conditions with the understanding that the pavers from the front are being removed from the project.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy, yes. So please, it's approved, and please do no work until you contact Mr. Bichette for your paperwork. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Next, please.
Okay. Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. of the notice of intent for Paula Hamilton, GAF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to upgrade a septic system located on Assessors Map 19, Lot 79, 44 Agawam Beach Road, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here representing this project?
I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering here on behalf of Paula Hamilton.
Bill, do you have them all tonight?
I got a bunch.
I was
I got a
wondering.
row.
It's the Bill Show.
They're making me work late tonight.
And there was a
Yeah.
new plan that was sent to us late this afternoon, and I think that's now on the screen. So, Mr. Bichette, your turn.
Sure. So the project site is at 44 Agawam Beach Road, and the project involves a septic system upgrade in the buffer zone to a coastal bank and a coastal beach. And the site is also within a coastal flood zone. The existing septic system is to be replaced with a new Title V nitrogen reducing septic system, which would be approximately 50 feet from the seawall or the retaining wall and approximately 85 feet from the edge of the salt marsh. The new system is located in the furthest location possible on the lot from the marsh. The leach field would be an elevated leach field and would have a 2 to 3 foot high block wall around it. There is a shed that needs to be relocated to accommodate the new system. When I saw the original plan, it didn't really indicate where the shed was going to be relocated to. So I brought that to the attention of Mr. Madden, and they have submitted a revised plan showing where the shed would be relocated to. That puts the shed partially within the 30-foot no activity zone. We did get a DEP file number for the project. I didn't get a chance, since we just got this revised plan, to go see that location in relation to wetland resource areas, because there's also potential resource areas off the plan, in other words, that aren't shown to what would be the northwest side. So I just wanted to revisit that and see what's there in the field to make sure, or to see to what extent that might be within the 30-foot no activity zone. As far as the septic system, obviously, I don't have any concern with that at all. It's pretty straightforward, needs to be done. It's just a matter of where is the shed going to go, and is it acceptable to put it where they want to put it. So that's all I have on this one.
Thank you, Bill.
Tonight, Brian was at the meeting with the Board of Health, and all the waivers required for the Title V system were approved by the Board of Health tonight. So there's no outstanding issues with them. With respect to the shed to be relocated, I think it can be slid just a little bit closer to those septic tanks, septic tank and on the fast unit by the few feet that it'll need to clear that 30-foot no activity zone line that we show on the plan now, notwithstanding Dave's comment about going out to the field and checking to the northwest to see if, you know, if that thing will still be outside that 30-foot no activity zone. But on the plan that we have here, we could slide it a few feet over and clear the 30-foot no activity zone. Should have been done that way first time.
Okay, anything else? Kwame questions?
No questions, thank you.
Denise?
No, I was just gonna suggest the same thing that Bill just said, was sliding the thing forward a little bit and pulling it out of the zone. So that would be acceptable to me.
Carol?
Nope, no questions. Thank you.
Michael?
Questions, thank you.
Nicole?
No questions, thank you.
Bill, what is reconstruct stone drive and cobblestone edging upon completion of the construction? Are they going to be damaged? Is that why it has to be reconstructed?
That corner of the driveway and the cobblestones, it's going to be, you know, consumed. It's going to be consumed by the block wall around the leaching field. So I think what they're talking about doing is to, just compensate for that loss by placing a little wider portion of the driveway there, the square footage for square footage.
Okay, so they can put a car there.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna move that shed, so I hope they can get around the house to get their lawnmower in and out. Is there anybody online that would like to comment on this project? Well, the condition now, do we want to wait for a new plan, or are we going to condition this with the stipulation the shed be moved a few feet to the north-south, to the west, to move it out of the 30-foot?
Well, what I wanted to do is take a look at this, because to make sure that the 30-foot line is actually represented correctly, because there's no indication what's up here in terms of wetland resource areas. This could sort of wrap around potentially. So
Well,
that's
yeah.
what I would just want to
Okay.
verify.
That's all beach up there. Okay, so we'll continue it for a inspection by the agent.
Move to continue to the next meeting, which is the
July
20th.
Yes, that is the motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Kwame,
Yes.
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. Next hearing, please.
Hey, notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 6:30. Notice of intent for Richardson Family 2020 irrevocable trust. Did I say that right?
Irrevocable, I think.
Irrevocable.
Okay, sorry. GF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to install vinyl sheet piles in front of the existing concrete seawall located on Assessor's Map 46A-1, Lot 56, 122 Pinehurst Drive, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Anybody here for this project, Mr. Madden?
Yep, Bill Madden from GAF Engineering here on behalf of the Richardson Family 2020 Irrevocable Trust.
Hey, Bill.
Thank you. Mr. Bichette?
Yeah, so this project site is at 122 Pinehurst Drive. And the project involves repairing a seawall within a coastal beach, within land containing shellfish, and within a coastal flood zone. It's proposed to install vinyl sheet piles in front of the existing seawall for a length of approximately 40 feet, which is within the coastal beach area. The existing footing would be removed as much as possible so that the new sheet pilings can be driven up against the existing wall. The piling work would be done from the landward side of the property. Mass Division of Marine Fisheries did comment on the project. And they commented that they did not want to see any further encroachment out into the beach with this work. So I would say that we would want to make sure that the new wall is going to be in place of the existing footing. We did get a DEP file number for this project, so I would recommend the approval of the project with the condition that the new sheet pile wall occupy the same footprint as what the footing did.
What about connecting to their neighbors? The one that exists and the one that we're going to be looking at next. Should there be some connection between the existing property that has a vinyl, that has a, what do you want to call it? Sheet wall? Never
Did they
mind.
have-
But that is what they're proposing to do.
Okay, so no further out other than what their neighbor is. Okay, I'm sorry, I went out of turn. Questions on Mr. Madden, anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that when we did the site inspection, it looked to us that, they should be able to remove the bulk of that footing by hand. I think they could actually do it by hand to find a home for the sheet piles to be driven in place of that footing. Don't expect them, it was kind of deteriorated, I think. I think that it should come out pretty good and line up fairly well with the outside face of the existing wall. So I think that all those comments were reasonable. And when we turn it to go back to the house on the left-hand side, as you're looking for the water, we'll probably just have to put a fitting against that wall and fasten it into the concrete wall. So we have a socket, so to speak, for the sheet pile to fit into. And it'll be a low sheet pile, and they make a particular fitting to do that work. So I think that was
Okay.
what you were referring to on the concrete wall side to the left.
Yeah, and to, whatever exists right now for Ramsey, you're gonna make a connection to them, so this all becomes one solid
Exactly.
seawall. Plus what's gonna happen on their other neighbor that we're gonna talk about. Okay, questions, Kwame?
Well, there's 3 projects right next to each other. I got a little confused, but I really don't have any questions other than just the piles. But I think Bill already asked answered the question, so I think I'm good. No other questions. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Denise?
I am confused because if I look at what Mass DMF says, it says that they should stay within the same footprint of the existing seawall. And it appears to me that they're moving out and then connecting to the wall next door that in itself is encroaching. I don't understand how you're saying that wall, you're moving it out at least a foot and it's going to connect to the neighbors, which I don't know if they had permission or not to move out as far as they did, but the recommendation at this point is that they not move out.
I think that, do you have is there a cross section, Dave, that on the second sheet that shows that might be able to clear that up? I thought there was.
It's on this one. There it is, that on
There
the
you
side.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going, keep rolling up if you don't mind. Where we show where the existing wall is, there's a footing that extends out I don't know, 1.5 feet from the face of the wall. It's not only a concrete wall, it's a stone and mortar wall. And then in
Okay.
front of that stone and mortar wall, there's a footing that extends about 1.5 feet out. That footing is the footing that
Footing
which
that you're
forms
talking
part of
about.
the wall. We're gonna take that out. We're gonna break that out and
And-
drive these sheets close to the wall.
To the wall. So there's something under the water that I could not see at that point.
If you were there at high tide, you would not have been able to see that.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Well, one thing I would just want to ask Bill is on the detail, it looks like, it shows the footing to be removed, but it shows the pilings outside of that. So is the plan going to be sort of modified to shift that, to occupy that space of the failed footing versus the way it's currently shown?
I don't think I think that the plan view above does a better job of showing it. This detail that we're looking at now, leads one to believe that this area here is being extended, and that's not the case. The plan view above is more accurate, where it shows how that sheet pile is going to be installed. But I'll modify that and ship it off just so there's no misunderstanding on anybody's part. I know exactly the way it needs to be.
Thank you.
Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
Okay, questions. Is work going to be done during low tide or high tide?
It's probably gonna be done during low tide, and it should be all done from the land side of things. I don't think it makes sense to do it any other way. They can get a piece of equipment down there. It doesn't take much to drive those short sheets into that material down there. So it's likely to be done at low tide.
And second question, I'm not sure, Dave, you may know this one. Will work here be delayed due to a season? For example, we know like work in Bessie Park right on the corner from there. We're not seeing work being done there for a little while, correct?
Right, I don't
Yeah,
think
the
there's been a
division-
time of year restriction.
Yeah, the Division of Marine Fisheries in their comments did not recommend any time of year restriction on this project or the next door neighbor's project.
All right, I was just curious. Thank you.
Nicole, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Is there anybody on the call online that would like to comment on this project?
Yes, I would.
And identify yourself, please.
Kevin Murphy, trustee, Pinehurst Beach Improvement Association. So we do support both of these projects. I just want to make sure that I understand, in looking at the site plan, it appears that all of this construction is on their property and not on association property. Am I reading that correctly?
No, it's that line that says 40.1 feet. That's where the property line is, and the wall appears to be on association property, as do the proposed improvements.
Okay, so the association will allow this only in granting an easement. So that would need to be part of the restrictions on moving forward, is that they have an easement from us, which is permission to build on our property.
Okay, Kevin, so you would be willing to write a document and give it to Mr. Bichette to indicate that the Pinehurst Improvement Association approves this project?
That is correct. We've done it numerous times in the past.
Okay, so it would be nice if we had that document in our folder for this and the next hearing.
The property owners need to contact the association for that.
Okay, Mr. Madden, will you work with the homeowners regarding that?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
they just need to contact Kevin Murphy. Is that the idea? Or you're the
Sure, that
person?
will work. They live across the street from me.
Okay, so they'll understand.
They can walk across the street now.
We're fully supportive, but we're very protective of our beach.
Understandable.
Okay,
And
Thank you. Is
everything
there-
I just said applies to the next project as well.
great.
Uh,
Are we?
I'm sorry, can I ask one more question?
Yes, please.
I fully understand how the two of them doing this in conjunction, they tie this all together to be one wall, which is fantastic. With it tying into Steve Ramsey's wall, his is not a full height, what's the right word, sheet wall. He's got his existing wall, then the footing that we've been talking about, and his sheet pilings, Bill, what's the word? Sheet pile.
Well, these two projects, Kevin, have been set up to be at that same height. In other words, they're not going to be the full height of the concrete wall. They're just going to be at the same height as Ramsey's wall.
Oh, okay. My concern was how you tie in the different heights of a wall to Ramsey, but okay, never mind. Question withdrawn.
Okay,
So at this time, are we moving to continue this?
why, yeah, we are continuing. Why?
To revise the plan and show to clarify the distance and the thickness of the wall from the wall.
That's right. All right,
the
so we're going to
base of the sheet
continue
pile.
for, yep, we're going to continue for a clarification on the placement of the sheet pile on the plan.
And to receive a letter of support from the association.
Yes.
I'm in a meeting right now. Let me call you back. Love you too.
Yeah. So I have a motion to continue until July 20th.
20th.
Motion to continue until July 20th.
Second. Second.
I have a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy. It's continued until July 20th. Thank you. Next, please.
Okay, notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts Wetland Protective Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for 124 Pinehurst Drive, Realty Trust, GAF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to install vinyl sheet piles in front of the existing concrete seawall located on Assessor's Map 46A-1, Lot 57, 124 Pinehurst Drive, Wareham, Mass.
Bill,
Yeah,
Do you
Bill Madden
represent the-
from JF on behalf of the Richardsons.
wrong name. Are they also Richardsons?
Isn't that the one we're doing
No.
now?
We
Oh,
have
the
to-
Pinehurst Realty, sorry, Pinehurst Drive.
124 Pinehurst Drive.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Bichette?
Okay, so this lot is the adjacent lot to the one we just reviewed. This is 124 Pinehurst Drive. And essentially, this is the same project that we just discussed, which is to install vinyl sheet piles in front of the existing concrete wall. Again, the length is the same or roughly the same as the previous lot, approximately 40 feet. And again, the existing footing is to be removed as much as possible so that the new pilings would be basically in the location of the existing footing. Mass DMF did comment and had the same comments on this project as they did for the previous one. We did get a DEP file number for this project. And so I would say we have essentially the same issue here as we did on the last project. I'm okay with the project as long as we get those two items addressed. So I guess I would recommend the continuance as we did on the last hearing.
Bill?
I agree with Dave. I'm sure the details are the same and require the same minor changes. Just that little piece there at the property lines between 122 and 124, might be a little tricky over there, but I don't see it as something that it's insurmountable. So we'll make those plan revisions and provide them for the next meeting.
Okay, questions? Kwame,
No questions. Thank you.
Denise,
The only question I had, and I believe I have the answer, is that the patio that is there has an existing patio and it was just resurfaced. It's not a new patio, correct?
Not that I'm aware. It's always, I don't know if it's even been resurfaced recently. It looks like it might have been. It looks looks halfway decent. So I don't know what age it is, to be honest with you on that. But it's.
Yeah,
it's
that
not
was
new
the
as far
one
as I
that
know.
did appear, that was the one that did appear to look more of a newer patio, but there were sections where some of that new skim coated was chipped off and you could see the patio underneath it. So that was existing and just
Patio.
re-skimmed over at some
Thank you.
point.
That's all I have.
Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
Okay, just like Denise, I got one minor question here. In the screen that Dave has up, it says in the middle, remove as much of the failed concrete footing as possible. Now, according to the Mass DEP letter, it says it's going to be filled with sand. Is that correct?
I think we wanted it filled with concrete as opposed to sand. Originally, we did want them filled with sand, but I'm thinking that since now it's going to be really taking the place of the foundation, and I don't believe the sand is the best solution for the infill behind those panels, because we're trying to get something underneath that wall and take the place of the footing. I think that we're going to see some hollow space underneath that wall. So that's why I believe that concrete is going to be the better choice. Then, when we had it the full height, that's when we wanted it at sand. We're going to use sand at that point, but I think we prefer concrete at this point.
Okay, so we're gonna go with concrete then instead.
Yeah, that's what I think the plan shows. I thought put it this way, that's what I asked for to have put on the plan.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Nicole,
I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly, but basically what you're saying is you're trying to get rid of as much of that concrete footing as you can, but you might not be able to get it all. So the concrete you'd put down is just to make it level, correct? To support.
I think what's going to happen is we're going to break out that concrete footing. Most of it's going to go. We're going to drive those sheets flush with, as close to flush to the existing stone and mortar wall as we can. We're going to drive those into the ground, and then the corrugations between the vinyl sheet and where the footing once was is going to be filled with concrete.
I gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
okay, my question, with the Richardsons going to the Ramses, the pylons, the sheets would be the same height as the Ramses seawall, correct?
Yeah,
But if I
everything's
take-
supposed,
Yeah, but if I take a look at sands, they appear to be so much higher than what we're continuing from the Richardsons. Or did I misread that corner of that property?
I thought Sands was a taller wall.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to think, that I am saying that Sands is taller than what you have on Ramsey, which is the other end of this 80-foot project going on. How are you going to tie into that taller seawall?
I didn't think we were against Sands.
You are for this project. Richardson's is next to.
Oh, yeah.
Ramsey.
Yep, you're right. Yep.
So the abutting sheet pile wall is a lot taller than what you're carrying from the Ramses to the Richardson to the whoever these are. 124 Pinehurst Drive Realty Trust. I'm
think there's-
concerned, I'm concerned about that that intersection.
Yeah, I'll have to look closer at it. I think that Sands has a return that turns 90 degrees back into the land. And our shorter wall would just butt up against that and be capped with the decking that we're talking about on the top. So we should have a smooth transition, but I'll look at it and have a better answer for you at the next meeting.
Right now, the decking, are you going to make any attempt to connect the decking to the new sheet pile?
On Sands?
No, on 124 Pinehurst Drive Realty.
Yes. Yeah, it's all going to be connected to the sheet pile.
So we will be expanding the size of that patio.
No, the patio is much higher than the wall.
So
We're
what,
sure-
So Sandy, the new walls are all gonna be only like a couple of feet above the beach, 2 or 3 feet above the beach. They're not gonna rise up to the full height of these walls.
Okay. Okay, so there'll be a step down
Yes.
from the patio down to the top of this new seawall.
To the deck.
Okay.
Well,
yes.
each one of them is gonna have these stairways built in or existing that are gonna lead you down to the top of the low wall if you wanted to step out onto the beach.
But for the whole 40 feet, there will be another level seawall that we're constructing with these pylons, with these sheet piles, with
Yes,
concrete behind them, so they can be something that could be
Yes.
walked on. Okay, so we are going to continue. Is there anybody on the line that would like to comment on this project?
Yes, I would.
Yes, oh, Kevin again.
Kevin
You can just say,
Murphy.
you can just say ditto.
Okay, so if you were to stand on the beach and look at the Sands property, they have replaced their seawall with a sheet piling wall a number of years ago. That's about 5 feet tall.
Yes,
If you were to then walk down the beach to 124, they
okay,
have a cement wall that's about 5 feet tall.
mm-hmm,
If you go down to Richardson's, they have a cement wall that's about 5 feet tall. If you go down to Ramsey, he has a field stone seawall that's about 5 feet tall, that's sitting on a footing, and in front of his footing is, I don't know how many feet down it goes, but extends up out of the sand, maybe 2 feet. So he's got the
okay,
wall that he put in, then you could stand on top of that on the footing, and then he's got another 4 feet of wall. So these are all different materials and height walls as you're looking at it from the water.
so if I'm looking at the water, what I see on Ramsey is going to be continued down to the next 80 feet. To
That's what
sand.
it sounds, that's what I want to clarify. So
Okay.
everybody's existing walls remain, they're just putting in a 2 foot or whatever the answer is high, protruding high, new wall mirroring Ramsey. So all that you're really tying together is the sheet piling from Ramsey to 122 to 124 to 126,
Yes,
if I
Yes.
Yeah.
understand that correctly.
I totally got it now.
Yeah, that short area.
I mean, essentially, this is toe protection for those walls. Because I mean,
Sure.
usually they fail from erosion that occurs at the toe of the wall. When these sheets get driven down 5 feet below the ground, filled with concrete, we won't have to worry about scour taking place and causing that wall to fail in the future.
And
So these are really toe protection
Okay.
projects more so than, revetment or seawall
a
projects.
damaged wall, got it.
Yeah.
The only other, again, the requirement that the association has, because it has to get voted on by our membership, is what's the square footage of land that we're providing an easement for? Because that has to get filed with the deed.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bill, will you work with the homeowners for that?
Yes,
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
thanks.
Is there anybody else would like to comment? If not, I'll ask for a continuance.
Move to continue to July 20th.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame,
yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy, yes, 500. It's continued. Next hearing, please.
Okay. A notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Stephen Nito, GF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to install a new concrete patio and steps and to resurface a concrete seawall and footing located on Assessors Map 46A-1, lots 67 and 68, 144 Pinehurst Drive, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. And who's representing this project?
Bill Madden from GAF on behalf of Steve Neto.
Thank you. And Ms. Bichette, this has definitely already been done, so this is an after the fact filing, so it's your turn.
Yes, as was just stated, this is an after the fact filing for work that has already taken place at the site. And the site again is 144 Pinehurst Drive. And the work involved repair of a seawall footing and access stairs and the installation of a patio along the coastal bank and within a coastal flood zone. The footing of an existing seawall for a length of approximately 50 feet was capped with a layer of concrete. Existing stairs that go down to the beach were also rebuilt in the same general location. A 4 by 26 foot poured concrete patio was also built between the seawall and the house within the 30-foot no activity zone. I had asked the engineer a question whether or not this existed previously. And at the time, we didn't really have an answer. Mr. Madden this afternoon sent me a photograph, which I'm going to pull up on the screen here, which shows what was there prior to the work, or at least it shows a portion of it. Because I was of the viewpoint that it was all new and therefore should not be allowed to be there because it's within the 30-foot no activity zone. But I'm going to pull this photo up so people can take a look at it. And then I'll continue my comments. So this is a photo that was provided. So it does show that there was some concrete section in this vicinity where the new section now exists. And it doesn't really go to the extent of showing what's over here. But it does appear that from this photo, there was some narrow strip of concrete where the new one has been placed. So that was my really only concern with this. And of course, the fact that it was done with no approvals before the work was done. But in terms of the work itself, my only concern was this piece right here that I didn't think was something that was an existing feature. So this is something the commission can obviously see and consider in terms of what you want to do with that newer chunk of concrete. But as you can see, the stairs were there and the seawall footing was there. The seawall footing cap also really was surface cap. It didn't even extend down into the beach. So in my opinion, it's really not doing a whole lot except providing a level walking surface. But in terms of stability of the footing, it's really not doing a whole lot there. So so I don't, again, have any further comments about the project or what was done. I think think some of it would have been approved, maybe not in the manner that it was done as in terms of the footing work. I would have preferred to see Mr. Madden involved to propose or design something that was more of an actual repair than what I just look at as sort of surface treatment. But let me just get off this here. We did get a DEP file number. We did receive comments from Division of Marine Fisheries, and they had no comments or concerns for this project at all. So I guess the real question is, how does the commission want to view this concrete patio that is now in place versus what we saw in the photo?
This new one is, how wide is this new one? I can't read the numbers. 6 feet?
The new one is 4 feet wide and 26 feet long.
Can you put up the old photo?
Yes.
Because that certainly didn't look like 4 feet wide.
Yeah, and you can't really tell if it's the full length either because it's only showing you this side of the stairs, so you don't see anything on this side of the stairs.
Yeah,
But
you
let me
could sort of
just
see
pull that.
something, but it's all broken up. I just think about that person that's on C Street, what we made them take out.
Well, there was clearly nothing there at the one on C Street.
Yeah. See, that concrete pad that exists in front of that lattice work certainly does not look 4 feet. But the top of the stairway looks like it's out 4 feet. Okay. Mr. Madden, comments?
It's always tough with, for an enforcement order issue. I think that, it does show that, there was something there. Looks like it, in all honesty, it doesn't look quite as large as what was replaced. It's performing the same function. I don't think it's, I don't know. I think it's a better situation for access and for use and what have you, and accessing underneath there prevents further erosion from occurring on the bank by having a hard surface there if you're using that area underneath the deck for storage and what have you. So I would expect that people would be, whatever they put there, whether it's a kayak or, canoe, trailer, who knows what it might be. But I think that having that stable surface in front of that area that's being used is beneficial, and it definitely prevents further erosion at the point of contact where someone would be entering into that space. So that's all I really would have to say about that. Dave and I did have a discussion about the concrete on the footing, and it does seem to be more superficial than structural and what have you. And I think had we been involved on day one, we would have been looking to do a more substantial infill, almost maybe even just like what we're doing at 122 and 124. But that wasn't the case. That's not what we're dealing with. We're dealing with something totally different. So, I think that, I don't know, we're at the mercy of the commission, honestly. And I think that it performs some function. I think it does protect some resource area. Clearly did take place without the benefit of a permit and didn't give the commission an opportunity to review the project as you normally have reviewed things. So I don't know what to say other than that. We'd like to keep it there. Thought he did a decent job. They did do some work on the house. They did a nice job. The photograph that we looked at doesn't do what's there justice, but that's, it's not a free pass to do work either. So that's all I really would have to say about it at this point.
The only comment I would add, Sandy, on that is since we don't see anything on the other side of the stairs, if they don't have any information, then I think the commission should regard that as a new feature, unless they, again, can provide something to show that something was there. That's my only further comment.
Oh,
And I specifically asked for the side over by the deck. I didn't ask for the side where the garage was. I thought we might, when we were discussing things out there, we thought that it almost seemed likely that they would have something there because it was more of a garage door setup, but I did not ask him for like complete pictures across the back. I will ask for that. And if something was there, it was. If it wasn't, it wasn't. So.
well, you can see a part of it in the old picture.
Yes.
Okay. All right, questions. Of course, I'm very concerned about that beautiful green grass and all the nitrogen needed to maintain it, which is, okay. Kwame, questions?
No, David actually went through what I was going to ask. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise?
Oh, I think you know how I feel about activity in a no activity zone. And as far as I'm concerned, it needs to be taken out and brought back to the size that it was. And if something was done improperly, then it needs to be fixed and done properly.
Michael? I mean, Carol, any
Go
questions?
ahead, Carol.
No questions at this time.
Michael?
I just agree with Denise. You just got to be consistent, and that's all I gotta say.
Nicole? Nicole, questions?
No, thank you.
Wow. Good, they did a great job there. They really did. I wish they had come to us first. I'm surprised their neighbors didn't complain of this work being done without a permit. The question is, what would we have allowed if they had come to us in the first place? I think we would have allowed them to replace the existing 2-foot wide concrete that existed and repair the stairs. God, this becomes tough. Is there anybody on the line other than Kevin that would like to comment on this project? But Kevin, you're up.
So again, we support any of our neighbors, our members, improving their properties. I don't know why the process would not be to force them through the process. They fill out an application, you decide what you will approve, you look at the work that they've done, and they did a beautiful job. And if you'd like to go online on their Airbnb listing, you can see exactly what it's used for today, which is a beautiful patio.
Yes, it is. I wonder
It's
if the
not-
Board of Board of Health knows it's an Airbnb. Huh, okay, that's another comment on another project
Not
of
not where I was headed,
outside of conservation.
but
Okay.
you can see that they did very nice work. And then my always question is, did the work that they do on that wall, does it sit on Pinehurst Beach property, which would only be determined by an engineered plan? And if they didn't get one to start with, then they need to get one now. I don't know why you'd let anything proceed without one.
If they just.
That's what we have in front of us now. This is an engineered plan right here.
But where is their wall versus association property?
There's no new wall. It looks like the wall's on their property, the heavy line.
What's the gray to the north of, so there's the patio, there's the stairs come down to something that looks new.
Yeah, on their land.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
it's
the
all
heavy
north
dark
of the
line.
dark line.
Yeah, the heavy dark line with the 40 feet across it is the property line.
Perfect. And we have no other questions.
So no, there was no additional work done on the beach area. Everything was done on the existing structure, on the
Perfect.
existing seawall. What had happened was the expansion of the patio.
Got it. All, your problem now, not mine.
Oh, thank you. So, Mr. Madden, is there a chance we can get a photo of the existing patio that, what was in front of the two doors to the shed or the cellar?
Yeah, I'll work on getting that. Yes. I'll see if it's
Because-
available. I know, I don't have it, Steve may.
Because what I'm hearing from at least two of our members, it's to be removed and replaced as approved, not what's there now. That's what I'm hearing. But,
So continue
Okay.
it until we can provide some
yeah,
information.
we're going to continue till we can have a better picture of what existed prior to this work being, this unapproved work being done. And so at the next hearing, we'll talk about the fines. Anybody else online that would like to comment on this project? That's a shame. It really is. Okay. Nobody else wants to comment, so if we can have a continuance until July 20th?
Motion to continue until July 20th.
Second,
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, Kwame, Denise.
Yes.
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Michael, Sandy, we'll continue it until 7:20.
Thank you for doing, thank you for doing a thankless job.
Oh. Okay, we have a continued hearing of Jose and Lemus and Ian Lemos, Edgerton, 12 Sunset Avenue. Is there anybody here representing that project? Oh, I bet it's Bill again.
That would be me, Bill Madden.
Okay, so this is a continued hearing, and Mr. Bichette, we were waiting for DEP.
Yes, I'm just gonna bring the plan up here.
Yeah, Carol, I feel the same way. I'm getting.
Oh, I'm watching you too. The humidity is killing me.
Yeah, Alan's in the air-conditioned room. I'm not.
Yeah, Dave's in the air-conditioned living room and I'm in the bedroom sweltering.
All right.
This is our last Zoom meeting.
Yes.
Yes, our last Zoom meeting. Okay.
Not sure why my file is not coming up to represent the entire plan here. Hold
But there
on.
was no change to what we heard 2 weeks ago, right? We were just waiting for E DEP.
No, I got it now. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so the project site is at 12 Sunset Ave, and the project involves the construction of an addition, the construction of a retaining wall, and the installation of a subsurface roof drain system in the buffer zone to a salt marsh and to a coastal bank. A 16 by 20 foot addition is proposed with an attached covered porch, and this is approximately 44 feet from the top of the coastal bank. At the last meeting, we did not have a DEP file number for this project. We have since received that. I think we discussed the project at the last meeting, and I don't recall any major issues with it other than the DEP file number. So with that, I would recommend the approval of the project with the standard conditions and the added condition that the roof drain system be required as part of the project as proposed on the plan.
And that the material will be removed from site.
Any extra material, yeah.
Okay. Bill, anything to add?
I don't have anything to add on that.
Okay, questions, Kwame,
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Denise?
Just explain to me what the roof drain was. They did a change to it, to this plan, or it's what we discussed at the last meeting?
It's what we discussed at the last meeting. It's this feature up in the upper corner of the plan here, which is going to be an underground drainage setup that takes the stormwater from the proposed addition into that underground stormwater unit.
Okay, thank you. Very neat.
Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
Questions? Thank you.
Nicole,
I'm
No
sorry.
questions, thank you.
I have nothing. And is there anybody on the line who would like to comment on this project? Seeing and hearing no one.
Move to close the hearing.
I have
Second,
a
Second.
motion. I have a motion to close the hearing in a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Sandy. I'll be so happy not to list off everybody's name again. Uh,
I would-
Okay, we've closed the hearing.
A motion to accept the project with the standard order of conditions, including the roof drain per the plan and the extra materials being removed from the site.
That be
Second.
the motion. I have a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise, Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy, done. Please, no work until you get your paperwork from Mr. Bichette, Bill, okay?
Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, next continued hearing was Kevin Perkins. At
Yes.
31 Old Woods, did we get a request for a continuance? or is it
No,
on-
we
no.
have them here tonight.
Okay, so this is a continued hearing for Kevin Perkins. Is there anybody on the line that represents this project?
Yes, Madam Chair, Niall Zager from Zenith.
Okay, Niles, thanks for hanging in there.
Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Bichette, will you read the project?
Yes, let me just, get things back here. Hold on one second. Okay, just having a little trouble getting that plan pulled up. Hold on one second here.
You know, you don't have this problem if you work from home.
Oh, that's not good.
Okay. So this is a site that's at 31 Old Woods Road, and this project involved the installation of a tight tank septic system in a well within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. A tight tank system is proposed at this existing cottage, as there is currently no septic system at the location. The proposed tanks would be approximately 60 feet from the closest wetland, which would be the adjacent drainage ditch or canal along the side of the property. At the last meeting, I had also brought up the fact that there was a violation, in my opinion, at the site that involved the removal of vegetation along the edge of Spectacle Pond. And so we requested that a restoration plan be put together for the commission to consider as part of the approval of this project. So we now do have this revised plan, which represents the restoration of the disturbed areas down by the edge of the water with this planting scheme. We do have a DEP file number for this. And so with this restoration activity being incorporated into the project, I would recommend the approval of the project based on this revised plan. And also whatever fine the commission wants to issue for the unpermitted cutting, although the current owner claims that this was cut prior to his ownership. So this is kind of a tough one in terms of the violation. So it's up to the commission to consider at this point, but that's my comments.
Okay. Niles, anything to add?
No, I think your agent, summarized it properly. He was nice enough to meet out on site with me and go over the disturbed areas that he saw fit, and we went over kind of a scheme. And I think that's what you see before you now. We provided, 3 different species on the site, remain with the existing vegetation as much as possible remaining as well. I did make a note that we're trying to allow a 5-foot access to the pond, just to be able to get a kayak or a canoe in. But besides that, we're looking to restabilize, in those areas. And I think this is what we had come to agreement on site. And that's really about how it went.
Okay. I will ask for questions, but Mr. Bichette, can you send that? I don't have that revised plan. I never
I will
received it,
send that. I will send that around.
just so I have it in my folder, because this is the one we
Yes.
will be approving. Okay, questions, start with Kwame.
No, I like the revised plan. And to David's point, it is kind of tough to issue a fine if it's already, it was already previously damaged area. We just don't know if it was done recently or not. So I'm on the fence with that. And that's it.
Okay, Denise.
I just wanted to double check. When we talked about the tight tank, there is some type of notification system with a 24-hour leeway so that if it goes off, it's not something that is going to happen right away. If they've got 24 hours to get there and take care of that tank.
That's absolutely correct. It's a 24-hour theoretical flow. So it's basically what would happen is once that alarm goes off, you have 24 hours to get somebody there and fix the alarm and get it pumped to the time, get it pumped down to a working level.
Okay. And my only comment about the fine would be that you inherited the problem, and unfortunately, there's a fine involved with what you inherited.
Carol. Questions? Carol.
Oh, I'm sorry, you froze up on me. No questions at this time.
Michael.
No questions, thank you.
Nicole.
No questions, thank you.
And Sandy. I'm not willing to issue a fine because I don't know who did it, and this particular homeowner is going to be paying the cost of the restoration. I think that's a sufficient financial impact on the homeowner as opposed to a fine, because I don't know who did it. And that's my That's my comment, but is there anybody here that would like to comment on this project? I'm hearing none.
I move
Wanna
that we
close
close
the
the
hea-
hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Second, all in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes,
Carol, Mike,
Yes,
Sandy, the hearing is closed. Who wants to take a stab at the, okay. What you want to do?
we'll move to accept the project with the vegetation restoration plan. And I don't know what you, did we put the?
Standard
cost-
order of
Order of
conditions.
conditions, but
Yep.
we would handle the fines or no fines separately from this move.
We can do that. We can say right now, yes, we can just issue the order of conditions and based on the restoration plan, that could be the motion.
That's my motion.
second,
Second, all in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes,
Carol, Michael, Sandy, the hearing is closed, and now you want to discuss fines. Any discussion on it?
I have a question. How long has this property owner owned this property?
It's been about two months.
Okay, thank you. That's clarification enough for me.
Okay, what would you like to do, commission? Someone wants to make a motion. If you want to fine, I'll need a motion. If you don't want to fine, we don't need a motion.
in light of the fact that he's only owned the property for 2 months, I will withdraw my comment concerning fines.
Okay, thank you. The next hearing is Wareham MA3 LLC. They have requested continuance until, they didn't say.
Till the next meeting.
Okay, so they made a request to continue until July 20th.
I move that we continue this hearing until the next meeting, July 20th, 22.
Okay, there be the motion.
Second,
And I have a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise, Carol, Michael, Sandy. It's continued until 7:20. The next hearing is George Barrett. Is there anybody here? Hi, Margaret, here representing the project.
Hi, Sandy. Margaret Ishihara, attorney for George Barrett, George and Carrie Barrett. I think I saw George's.
Yeah, I'm here.
Here.
Hi,
Okay,
George.
good. All right.
So,
Right.
Mr. Bishop, I'll read to the project.
Sure, so this is the project site is at 4 Vern Ave, which is off of Arlington Road. And this project proposed the construction of a single-family dwelling in the buffer zone to wetlands that exist at this site. The question has been the issue of proposing work within a certain distance of the wetland, and also in terms of a septic system, locating that within an area that's not meeting the standard required setback. So this hearing's been continued for quite a number of meetings as the applicant was looking to potentially come up with an alternative plan for the site. At this point, I have not seen any alternative plan, so I'll let Margaret maybe bring everybody up to speed where things are at so the commission can decide how to proceed with it.
So if, am I able to put a share screen up?
Hold on
I've
one
got-
second so I can.
I've got a share screen that I,
address that.
okay.
Yep, May
Okay.
19th, 2021 was our first hearing. It's been a
Right.
while. Okay,
So, that's very disorienting to me. Now I can't see myself, but in any event, or any of the rest of you. So, the situation has been this area here in the middle of Vern Avenue has been called out by Mr. Bichette, and we've now put this on this wetlands delineation sketch as a local wetlands, not a state regulated wetlands from our point of view, not large enough to be an isolated land subject to flooding, and not a bordering vegetated wetlands in the sense it's not bordering on anything to be a bordering vegetated wetlands. We had gone through a number of different scenarios in order to try to site the single family home and the subsurface sewage disposal system to meet both the 30-foot no build, no activity line, and also to meet the setback of the Board of Health and also of this Conservation Commission for the subsurface sewage disposal system. And we had actually looked at the possibility of perhaps getting an easement or some ownership from adjoining owners to see if we could make the setback that way, particularly for the Title V system. And I think essentially George can confirm this. Essentially, we never heard back from any of them. And just one other point of clarification on this plan, which I believe was was like a GIS map on this plan. This weird piece here, map, I think it says map 19 lot question mark. Actually, if you look at the engineered plans that JC Engineering did, this is all the Barrett's property, including that weird piece, just to clarify that. We had LEC Environmental Consultants do this sketch of the local wetlands. There's a deeper area here that's marked in red. And if, essentially that was caused by the contractor or whomever when they came in to do test pits and that sort of thing. So they left this depression here. We really were not able to, we ran into a roadblock basically on siting the Title V septic system, getting access from Vern Avenue because of the location of this local wetlands. What we're proposing to do, and the reason that we have not filed formal replication plan, because those are fairly expensive, and I'm not sure at this point whether the board might even consider this. This area over here, this blue-green area, is actually located on property which is owned by the town of Wareham. And what we're proposing to do, if the wetlands folks tell us that this is an appropriate area, you know, hydraulic connection, we can get the correct soils and all that, is to replicate, basically to replicate this local wetlands over here on the town of Wareham property. That would give us the ability to get the requisite setback, either 100 or 100 feet if we can get a variance from Board of Health, or 150 if we can't, to be able to site the house here and also to get some access by way of a driveway from Vern Ave onto the property. I think that we had committed the last time when we were here, which was back in December, to scaling back somewhat the house from the original footprint that we had proposed when the notice of intent was filed. But I think that the main thing we wanted to get a sense of from the Conservation Commission was whether this putting a replication area here to replicate this local wetlands is something that would be acceptable, assuming we can get all the proper engineering and the wetlands consultant to support it, if that's something that the Conservation Commission would consider. And let me just jump ahead a little bit. Even if that happens, we would obviously have to get the town of Wareham itself to say they're willing to consider that. And we would also have to do other engineering in terms of siting the house, which we're going to scale back, and reciting the Title V system also, and then to go to the Board of Health and see if they would be willing to pardon me, to grant us a waiver from the 150-foot setback requirement. So I'm going to do stop the share. And I will, Dave, when I sign off here, I will email you a copy of this so you have that for your records as well.
Okay.
So that is where we are. That is where we are at. It's been a difficult site to work with. We don't own any other adjoining property. You know, we need to get access to the lot. We need to site the house and the Title V septic system, but because of the you know, the calling out of this area in the middle of Vern Ave as a locally regulated wetlands, it's just been difficult to do that.
Before I ask the questions, Mr. Barrett, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I know it's been a long process for a number of reasons. I've looked into other septic systems and tried to find other ways to accomplish the goal. And this is the best I've been able to come up with. And like you say, it's another investment, and I'd kind of like to get the feeling of the board if they would support it before I take the steps that I need to take to get the approvals.
Wow. Mr. Bichette, I know you're hearing this for the first time. Any comments on it?
Well, I guess the most critical thing, which I don't think would be a super costly thing to figure out, is the town going to be willing to accommodate what you're proposing? If they're not, then obviously that sort of kills that idea. So I would recommend that question be answered, and then commission could make some judgments from there. Because otherwise, there's no point to kicking a lot of this around if they're not going to entertain that. That's just my opinion to the commission.
George, reasonable?
And I can understand that, but I also need some sort of a feeling from this board, just as much as I need from the selectmen and the Board of Health before all this engineering takes place. I know
Well,
with the change.
I guess that's the point I'm making. I guess that's the point I'm making. You wouldn't need to do any engineering if to just ask the selectmen if they'd even be willing to entertain this idea. Are they going to want you to purchase the property? I mean, how's that all going to actually work? I guess is part of it. So again, I think to me, that's the most critical issue here. If the town doesn't want to entertain this idea, then the rest of it doesn't even matter.
I also didn't want to be the longest public hearing in the town's history.
You and solar fields.
That's
Well, you heard
right.
the-
They requested a continuance. We did not. Dave, just so you know, I'm emailing you this right now. All right.
Well, George, the previous hearing had a tight tank. Can you get a big tight tank?
Well, I'm told I can't use a tight tank in new construction.
Ah,
Yeah, that's not allowed for new construction. The other one was an
oh,
existing.
darn.
Yeah, I had the same thought, and then I realized that there was that previous project was an existing house.
I also found a net zero product or system that looked very promising, but due to being undercapitalized when COVID hit, they're out of business. You know,
I have a question though. If you move the wetland, how does that affect the other properties around? In terms of setbacks for them and things that they might want to do with their property, doesn't it move all the no activities or zones and all this other stuff
So
around?
my sketch was a little loose, but my intent was to put it somewhere where it wouldn't affect any other properties, so.
Oh, so it was your crayon, okay.
Yeah, I'm available to,
Please, Sandy, were you about to laugh at me and say that Margaret's been using those crayons again?
Wait a minute. I honestly thought some grandchild,
I usually use Sharpies, by the way, not crayons.
I thought a grandchild had gotten hold of the plan.
I am available if you need any plans shaded, so.
I have a question because
Yes.
how does a wetland get designated in the middle of a road? It's a road. How can it be a
It's-
road with a wetland? in the middle of it?
It's an unconstructed subdivision roadway.
It's a
The
paper
road
road.
doesn't, the road doesn't exist right now, right? It's just, it's like all trees
It's on-
and whatever.
Yeah, it's
That's
on
right.
paper.
It's just
It's
a
on
road on the
paper.
plan. There's
It's a road on a
never been
plan.
any actual.
Okay, there's
road
no other
plan
houses
map,
out
so-
there. Are there house lots already there? And
The lots on the opposite side of the street are all town-owned.
For example, you go out there, you don't see Vern Road. It's just like all, it's all like woods, and next thing you know, you see the next house. And so, yeah, I don't understand. It was very tough to find a year ago and if memory recalls.
Oh, the easy thing, there's a boat stored right at the edge.
So
Someone
just
put a
to
boat there.
answer Carol's question, it just exists on paper. So there's plenty of plans that show roadways that are not actually constructed. They're just lines on a plan, but it's just raw woods right now.
For example, I'm sorry, go ahead.
house lots were sold on a non-existent imaginary road with a wetland in the middle of it.
Yeah, who knows how these things came to be years ago. It's just,
I don't get this. It's like, how'd that happen?
yeah. I
No.
think in today's world, that wouldn't
Yeah.
happen, but back then, years ago, things were done differently. And back in those days too, you have to realize when these things were first laid out, there were no wetland laws. Okay, so this all predates wetland laws that exist today, I mean.
George, those three properties opposite yours on Vernal, are all three properties owned by the town?
Yes,
And if I recall, there was an attempt to think about putting a playground there, but it was too wet in any one of those three lots, right?
well, that particular property with the playground appears to, that fill was placed there at one time,
Okay.
which raised that and caused more
Caused-
water runoff into the hollow,
Yep,
whatever you want to call it.
depression. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you, folks, what you're asking, I have no idea how I'm going to comment on this until I have a feeling of whether or not the town of Wareham would allow you to drain your little depression into their land. Is that what you're looking to do, right?
Yeah, and I would
Modify-
imagine I would have to come back to you with a plan illustrating that, as well as a different house position and septic system location, and you need a whole plan on that score, correct?
Yes, I would think so. All right.
Sandy, gonna take comments from the public on this?
Yes, like this particular time, I guess so. Unless there's somebody else, I'm going to ask the question. Any more questions, Kwame?
No, thank you.
Denise?
And this definitely would not affect the other properties around it in terms of what they will be able to do or not do if you move a wetland.
Well, it wouldn't change the town-owned land because it has the same problems that I have as far as proximity to the wetland.
Where you're putting the wetland in.
And that's part of the reason why we need to get the town's comments, because they, we don't know what their future intent is to do with this piece of land. So there could be potential impacts to it. So therefore, that's why we need to get some response from the
Right.
town.
Because you're taking a wetland and you're putting it in the middle of their property.
It's already wet
You're putting a wetland into a wetland.
into, yeah, making a bigger wetland, yes. Carol, anything else?
No, thank you. I
Mike,
think that's-
Michael,
No,
Nicole?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, now I'm ready to have comments from the audience.
Hi, this is Amy Roberts. I've lived across the street from the property that's referenced for 31 years. When I first bought the property, there was an Agawam Beach Association playground there. Over the years, the association fell apart. The taxes were not paid on that property and the town acquired it. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, the town put the property up for sale and then took it down because they thought in the future, if there were to be a sewer system installed, that might be where they want to put a pumping station. If there is any opportunity to purchase that land and do something with it, there are multiple people in this neighborhood who would be interested in acquiring the land. So it shouldn't just go to somebody who wants to relocate a wetland. Secondly, Margaret stated that I think JC Engineering somehow created a depression that created that wetland. That wetland has been there forever. It's on the GIS map. And thirdly, my last recollection from attending this meeting was that Barrett was supposed to come back with engineered plans showing the wetland, not somebody else's plan and his drawing on where he thinks he could locate it. And it's been a long time, and I would like there to be some resolution, not just keep kicking the can down the road.
Thank you. Anybody else can comment? All right, folks.
Just a comment on the excavation, the test pit that was dug did increase the depression of what was there. That's,
Okay,
Somebody's got their
I mean,
hand.
do we
My-
ask?
My question would be, how would you like me to proceed? Because, like I say, this has dragged on for a long time.
Okay,
What would you like me to do while I try to gain these other approvals?
Sandy, somebody has their hand up.
who does?
I don't know
Yes,
who that is.
it's a dog.
The dog has their hand up, but I don't know who it is.
Please identify yourself. Who?
It's Paul.
Okay, Paul.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I heard you say Paul. I didn't say hear.
Paul.
I am
I'm
a
sorry,
resident
Paul.
of
Wait, Paul, I need your last name, please.
Schwensfire.
Thank you.
All right, I'm a resident of Arlington Road. I lived across the street from this property. I used to cut the grass with my lawnmower when it belonged to the Agawam Beach Association, and I can verify that it's always been wetland there. I couldn't run the lawnmower down what is now described as Vern Avenue. You couldn't get near it. The suggestion that the equipment that the people put in to do the testing created this wetland is nonsense. It's always been a wetland. The other thing that
Just to clarify, I don't believe I said that it created this wetland. There's an area on the sketch that I showed that showed in red, and it is deeper than what had been there before. That was my only point.
Okay, Paul, continue, please.
The other comment that I would make is that I don't understand why you would think that the town is going to sell a piece of that land to anybody that just asks for it, when there are other people who are interested in purchasing it and have pursued that course of action. And then the other point that I would make is I am aware of the people who live next to this property, and to my knowledge, no one ever received a notice from Mr. Barrett of his intent that he stated when he made his presentation, whether it was a mail error in delivery, but no one received that information.
Wait a minute, this would have been issued May 19th, 2021.
Well, I mean, people have been there.
I'm sure we have our green cards of everybody that was notified as in a butter.
I believe,
That's
Sandy,
not-
we're not referring to the abutting, we're referring to him making outreaches to neighbors, asking about,
Oh,
you know,
whether-
potential easements and
oh, right
such.
away. Well,
Thank you.
that's outside of conservation and wetlands. Anything else, Paul?
No, I appreciate you listening.
Okay. George, I don't know. Right now, I'm not seeing an avenue for this property. But I guess if you would like to speak to the town to see if they might be willing to help with the relocation of your wetland. But then I don't know, Board of Health positioning of the house. I don't know what to comment on this. I really don't. I mean, you've been looking at alternatives, and you and Margaret have been dealing with this for a long time.
Well, what would you like me to do with this process? Because I think these other venues I have to do is gonna take some time.
Well, there is an alternative. What you could do is withdraw this notice of intent and then come back with another plan. Mr.
Or at
Bichette,
least get the questions answered.
yeah, see if the town, if could be something to do with relocating the wetland with the town. I don't know.
I think that what Mr. Prichette had said earlier, and I may be speaking a little out of turn here. I took Mr. Prichette's suggestion to be that to approach the town itself to see if this is something they would even entertain. Not necessarily coming back with engineering at the next, whenever we next appear, but at least be able to, you know, if the town says, I think Mr. Prichette is saying, if the town says no, then this proposal.
That's right. And this is not to purchase the land. This is just to ask if it can be used as a resource for redirecting this depression, the water collected in the depression. Okay.
Well, I think that's the whole thing. I think that's the whole thing. We don't know what this would potentially entail, and that's why that has to be determined. So the town may say no outright, we don't want any of this at all, or they may say we may entertain it if you give us X amount of money, or they may say we have to put this out for a public bid, and if you win it, then you can do this. So there's a whole variety of potential outcomes, but the town's the one that has to answer those questions.
We keep saying the town. Can we give Mr. Barrett a name? Does he go to municipal maintenance? Does he go to Menard
goes
first?
to the
Does he go to?
Board of Selectmen. Board of
The
Selectmen.
selectmen aren't going to be able to say yay or nay until they have some information what they're talking about. You're not going to say to the selectmen, hey, do you approve me dumping water on this land?
Well,
I
no,
can't
they'd
see
have
the
to make their
selectmen
case.
doing.
They'd have to present something to them in a written form, whether it be to them or to Derek, the town administrator, and then he would take whatever action he thinks would need to be taken.
As opposed to Menard first?
That's how it would have to go.
George, who do you think you'd be contacting in the town?
I don't know what the process is for this type of thing.
I would say Derek Sullivan. That's who you have to approach.
Yeah, so I can start there, and if it falls on the Board of Selectmen, it may be several departments that need to get involved. I don't.
Well, start with Mr. Sullivan.
Sandy, this is Kate Roberts again. I just have one more question. The last hearing, I understood that the request was that Mr. Barrett return with an engineered plan that showed the GSI wetland. So I don't understand why we would move forward with anything until he comes back with that plan, because how can he go to the town and say, I want to relocate my wetland, but there's no engineered plan?
Well, that's up to town to say whether or not they're gonna have if, it's up to the town to determine whether or not they have the
Okay.
discussion,
But you
and whether or not they need
Yep.
to start.
said that that was your next step, right? You had said last
Excuse me.
time, come back with this engineered plan showing the wetland. Instead, we get another firm and then George's penciled sketch of where he thinks it could be relocated.
Oh, this is
That-
not an
that
easy
is
one.
that is a delineation done by a wetlands biologist. I thought that's what was requested.
I think
Well-
just to clarify further, I think the town isn't going to entertain making any decision without having a detailed, accurate plan. They're not gonna just take a pencil sketch and work with that. So that plan is ultimately gonna have to be created by the engineer before the town's gonna take any action on it.
Don't you think at this point that he needs to withdraw this and go to the town and get his plans and get everything in order and then come back to us with a new NOI?
No, we're just gonna continue with this, waiting for feel,
How
get a
many-
feel for the,
Well, I have to agree with the person who was just speaking. I mean, how many times are we going to keep continuing this? It's since 1920 or 2021.
Exactly, exactly. This has been going on forever. And there's some of
And-
us that have to tune this stuff in every week, every meeting. And, you know, most of the time they've been discontinued. And enough is enough. You know, if you don't have your ducks in order, go back to square one. That's my
thank you,
feeling.
thank you. All right, Commission, what do you want to do? Continue? Or do you want to deny? Do you want to give him a chance?
I think we've given him enough of a chance.
I agree with
don't-
Denise here. I'm sorry, Denise, go ahead.
But
I
if we deny, what is the conditions we're denying? On what basis?
No plan.
Who said that?
no idea who said that, but
Oh, well, again, just to clarify for the commission procedurally, right now, the only plan we have was the plan that we had been submitted originally. Or, so that would be the plan that we would be focusing on if the commission was to decide to vote to deny the project, then you could say that the project doesn't meet the required setbacks and so on and so forth. Or if you want to allow them to continue, you have that option. Or if the commission doesn't want to continue, then the applicant has the right to request that their application be withdrawn without prejudice and come back down the road once they have some sense of what they may or may not be able to do. So those are the options that you have in front of you.
so I guess. the
All
question-
right. I don't know which one of my options to choose.
Well, I think it would be up to the gentleman who, is he going to withdraw or not withdraw? If he decides not to withdraw, then it would come down to, are we going to deny or continue?
George,
That's correct.
I think it's on your plate right now.
Well, I think whatever I would, I don't know how long these other venues are gonna take. So I would say my best move at this point would be to withdraw. Because,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt my own client. I apologize.
yeah, I would have, I'd like to conference with you, but it's kind of hard to do here. You about to say something?
Yes, as long as it is clear that if we withdraw, that we're withdrawing without prejudice to coming forward with a project for this particular lot. That would be my only.
So you would be withdrawing place based on the plan that was submitted in May of 2021.
So we're withdrawing that plan, but without
Well,
prejudice. Right?
Sorry, too many people at the same time. Mr. Bichette,
No, I was going to say, if they request to withdraw without prejudice, then that's that's it. That you're not basing it on any particular plan. You're just saying you're accepting their withdrawal without prejudice, and that gives them the option down the road to resubmit a new project.
Margaret,
So I think that answers my question. I just want to make sure that if we withdraw it is without prejudice. That's all.
which means you can come back.
Which means we can come back.
So I'm hearing that. That is, and Mr. Barrett? Are
What was
you all
the-
right with that?
Yes, either way, I'd have to take all the updates that we spoke about and put it on a plan anyway, so yes, I'm okay with it.
Okay. So the motion that I'm hearing is that the motion would be made to withdraw the project with prejudice, which allows them to come back without prejudice. Thank you.
And move that we accept the withdrawal of this project without prejudice.
Second.
Okay, good enough.
That's it. Second. You're done, Carol. You did good.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael,
Where is Michael?
Michael.
Michael,
I'm here. Can you see me?
we're
Yes, I
voting. We're
Uh,
voting.
We're voting.
Yeah, I'm here. Did you have me?
Yes,
No.
I guess I didn't. Sandy, yes, so 500. We accept the withdrawal without prejudice. And we'll wait for
Thank you.
something to be returned at a later date. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Next hearing is Scott Green, and they've asked for a continuance until August 3rd.
Move to continue to August 3rd.
Second,
A motion and a second, all in favor is Kwame, Denise.
yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy, we are continued. Next on the list is enforcement orders. Mr. Bichette, you get to do 82 Avenue A.
Yeah, so at this site at 82 Avenue A, we have a situation where there's been a dock constructed with no permits at this location. So an enforcement order was issued to the property owner, who was asked to attend the meeting tonight to discuss the matter. He is on the call here to go over the situation, but essentially we have a pier, ramp, and float that was constructed at this location with no permits. Based on the way it's constructed, it is not constructed in a manner that we would have approved. So it's my recommendation that this structure must be removed in its entirety. And then at some point, the owner, if he wishes, could come back with a proper application to try to get a structure permitted. So that's the situation. This property is right adjacent to the Oakdale playground in that corner of Oakdale.
It's off of the paper street called Apple Street.
Apple Street.
Who is the owner on the line? Can you identify yourself?
Yes, my name is Mark Wumble.
Okay, Mark. Mark, do you also own that lot between your house and the river?
I believe that that's all one property, ma'am.
Even though if I go to the assessor's map, it's two separate lots?
That's correct.
Okay. So any comment as to how a dock got built without approval?
Yes, ma'am. As I explained, when I bought the property, the owner represented that it was, as long as I did something similar to what was on the other side of the river, I would be fine. My neighbors basically said the same thing, as long as I kept it small, which it's a 6x8 float. And, you know, clearly from talking with Dave, I acted on some bad advice. And Dave gave me a recommendation of 3 engineering firms to talk to, which I have. And being the 4th of July and whatnot, they have told me that they're going to get me proposals to try to resolve this situation in a way that's acceptable to you guys. So I would ask for a continuance as I am getting more information. Clearly, the information I had received previously was incorrect, but I am working diligently on trying to get this done as quickly as possible. And I have had a couple of good conversations already, and Dave was helpful enough to give me 3 different firms to speak to that are local.
Okay, Mark, any idea when the existing dock will be removed?
I'm terribly sorry, but I'm having a rough night because my mom did get hauled off in an ambulance, and so I've been sitting since 6:30 on this call instead of being at the hospital with her. She took a fall and apparently has a brain bleed. So I am not not in the best of spirits, but I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours, actually almost 3 hours now, waiting for my turn. So I would suggest that I would like to talk to the engineering people to see if there's a way to get an application in that can make this dock meet or exceed your requirements before I get back to you. So if possible, could you, similar to what I'm hearing, is put me off for a few weeks, maybe that August 3rd meeting, and then by then I will know, I should have a really good idea of what their recommendations are, and I will act on them as quickly as possible, ma'am.
Okay, I can tell you now that dock you have will not meet any standards for what dock goes across the marsh.
No, I understand, ma'am, but there have been some
And Mark,
suggestions.
yes, I understand you've got a family issue, and I'm sure glad we have a brand new emergency room to take care of your mother.
Yeah, it's not done
okay.
there, ma'am.
Okay, Dave, what do you think?
My concern here is that as it currently sits, it is damaging the marsh. And so, again, as I stated earlier, and this is not to try to, cause any extra problems for Mr. Wambold as far as what he's trying to accomplish, but this structure as it currently exists is, in my opinion, adversely impacting wetland resource areas because it's not built in a proper manner. And does need to be removed. Now, once it's removed, if you want to attempt to come back and permit a structure, then that's fine. But in terms of what's currently there, my recommendation of the commission is this needs to be removed as soon as possible. It's just not something that should be there.
Mark, who built it for you? Who built it?
I hired a guy from the Cape that's a dock builder, ma'am.
And he built that?
That's affirmative. It was
Wow.
pre-made offsite and put on with a crane.
Oh, I wonder what town he's from, is what they approved for docks. Put on with a crane.
Clearly, ma'am, there's a lot of docks in Wareham that are not built as well as that. From what I've seen, even on the river I'm on, there's at least 10 docks that are built a heck of a lot less right. And I did do some very brief research, and none of those are permitted as well. And I did also make some inquiries on other rivers and inlets around Wareham.
Bill, please send us those addresses so we can research them too.
But that's not my goal, ma'am. My goal is to try to get the best advice possible so that if there's a way to raise it to meet whatever your requirements are, and the 3 firms that David suggested I talked to all had some ideas, but given coming up on the holiday and whatnot, they told me they would have some proposals and conversations with me next week and the following. And again, I'm happy to work with you guys as quickly as possible, but I feel like I deserve a little bit of time to get information, seeing that the information I had previously is incorrect.
When was this dock installed?
It was done in, I believe, March, ma'am.
Of this year?
Affirmative.
Okay. Commission, I'm going to ask you a question. What would you like to do, Kwame?
I think we should have let's continue this until, what, 2 weeks?
Sir, if I may say, it's probably if possible. I heard you say August 3rd. If that's possible, that would, I know that these firms, all of them said the same thing, that they're going to need 2 to 3 weeks to research it and give me a firm proposal, sir.
Denise.
Oh, so it is August 3rd. Okay.
I think that the dock needs to be removed because it is causing damage to the area that it's in. And I also think that the land that he's saying next to him that he also owns, they need to stop cutting the vegetation and everything that's down near the waterfront also.
Yeah, they're doing a little vista pruning down there.
Correct. Unfortunately, I think it's got to come out. It's causing damage. It's not something that we would have approved the way that it's in there. And I would also think that we need to get the name of the company that put it in because they should have known better and should have known that they had to come to the commission for approval.
It's hard to believe that someone builds dock on the Cape
Right,
and not
yeah.
realize it needs
Doesn't realize it needs to
Conservation
come.
Commission approval for wetland. That one's hard to believe. So,
Yes.
Carol,
I agree, the dock has to be removed. It's doing damage. And after and it should be removed within the next 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks further out, schedule him to come back with a plan to build the dock. And yes, I think we should get the name of the firm that put this in because they absolutely should know what is acceptable and what isn't.
Michael.
I also agree with the previous two. Also, the name of the company wouldn't know who could possibly take out the dock.
Nicole.
I agree with the rest of the commission. I think that if it's doing damage, it should be removed and as soon as possible, because if we continue and let it wait until August, then I would imagine using the dock in the meantime would just damage it further, correct?
And yes, I mean, it's right now, I'm sure that it's being rented out as an Airbnb, which means the dock is a nice little positive component to that rental. But Mike, I'm hearing that it's to come out now.
Correct. I don't know if you can still hear me or not, but anyway, go ahead.
Yep. So, I mean, this is Mark, this is what I'm hearing is that dock has to come out now. And we want the name of the contractor who put it in.
I'll report back to David and I will see what I can arrange. I don't, not an expert at this, but I will have to figure out how it can be done. There was, the way it was built and set in, there was no damage to the wetlands. The way it was installed with a lift. So there was no digging and whatnot. So anyway.
Yeah, but keep in mind that those are now solid shadows being played over that plant material, which is killing it. So the dock itself, you say, oh, I've only got a couple posts here and there, but you're throwing shadows on that vegetation and it's dying. So, okay. Mr. Bichette. Did we ratify the enforcement order at the last meeting?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So this commission is saying that this dock must be removed as soon as possible. Did we issue a fine at the last meeting?
No.
So we are requesting the name of the company that put the dock in, and we will be issuing a fine for them. And I believe we're going to issue a fine to Mark for $300 for putting in the dock without approval. Someone wants to make a motion?
Move
And
to,
what-
we're going to move to insist that the dock be removed immediately, that there's also the stop of the cutting of the vegetation on the land that's next to the dock, that we are issuing a fine of $300 to the owner, And once we get the name of the company, we are going to issue a $300 fine to the company that built the dock.
Okay. That's the motion.
Second.
All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Sandy. I'm going to, I'd like to keep this on as an enforcement order because I believe if the dock is not removed by July 20th, we'll be looking at a $300 a day fine for non-compliance. So you have 2 weeks to remove that dock before we start fining you daily for having it there. Is that my understanding, Commission?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Next, please.
So the next thing we have on the list is a certificate of compliance request for Jane Carboni at 3 Allen Ave. This was a site where there was a fuel spill in the basement of this home. We issued an order of conditions to permit the cleanup of this property, which has been done. So at this point, I would recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for this property.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor, Kwame, Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy. Okay. Next, please.
The next one on the list is for 780 County Road. And this was a project to construct a barn in the buffer zone to wetlands at this property. That project has also been completed according to the order of conditions. So I would recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for that project as well.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy. Then we're on to other business. I'm going to, I know Denise wanted some discussion on the wetland bylaws.
Can we do that at another time?
We can put that on for another meeting. Reorganization of the commission we do at the beginning of every fiscal year, which is the first meeting in July. Reorganize, so we have a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk. Does anybody would like to make a change?
No.
We need to vote.
Oh,
I mean, will we make no change? Is that what you, should that be the motion?
I guess that's it. That's the
Yeah.
motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy. We have the same chair, vice chair, and clerk. Thank you very much.
On the, can I just ask one more thing, Sandy? On the wetlands bylaws, discussing that, are we ever going to have a short meeting or should we set another meeting date?
I would strongly recommend a workshop
Okay,
because we're never going to get a short meeting.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So,
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense to do that. That way we can devote time specifically to that discussion.
would you like to try to make it in August? I mean, how soon do you want it? Do you want it in this July, August? People will be going on vacations.
Right, I don't know what the commission wants to do with it, but I got a lot of information out of that 101, 102 class that I took.
Yep. Then you
Uh,
can share with us when we have it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at your calendar, does anybody have a particular time that you would like to have this? Mr. Pichette, you would be holding the meeting. It will be during the workday, because we would not ask you to work in the evening.
Will we be doing a Zoom meeting?
No,
No, please, no
No
more.
more Zoom meetings. I want to see people.
Okay, no, I was just asking because if not, then I have to just secure a meeting room for us to meet in. That's all. That's the
Yeah,
only
I'm
reason
just
I was
looking for
asking.
some type of time frame. Are we talking July or do you want to go to early August?
I'm
Denise?
gonna be, the only time I will not be around is the last week in July. I will be on
Yeah.
vacation, so I will
And
not
you
be
said-
here that week.
And you said you're gonna have days off every once in a while. So should we,
Right, but I was gonna say, if the group has a particular day that makes sense, then, I'll just work around that, other than, like I said, the last week of July, which I
Well,
know for sure I will not be
and
here.
honestly, I don't want to do it on the same day we have a meeting.
Oh, goodness, no.
No, definitely not.
So honestly, for me, I don't have a Wednesday free ever.
Well, it
During-
doesn't have to be a Wednesday either. It can be,
I know.
if we're gonna meet during the day, it can be any day that everybody feels
I'm
like they
open.
have a little bit of time.
I'm free any day I can make it work. I hope.
Sandy,
Denise Walk,
Sandy, you're the one with the busiest schedule, Sandy. So why don't you figure out which day you don't have a meeting?
Well,
and then
Denise
we'll
walked-
Pick a time around that.
okay.
I just went to get my calendar.
Okay, everybody's got a calendar. Let's see. Monday, the 18th.
I'm free.
We're talking August or July?
July.
July. I'm free July 18th.
And it would be something like a 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
That
I know
works.
Kwame works. Michael, you're off vacation because school doesn't work.
As
Kwame, you're,
housekeeper saying, school's out.
yeah, Kwame, you're the one that works.
What are we looking at? Monday, you said?
Monday, the 18th, about 1 o'clock.
Physically to be at,
Town
on
hall.
site,
Yes.
at the town hall.
Mm-hmm.
That's next.
Or-
Is there a way, is there a way potentially, if it was gonna be on the Monday, to do it, say, maybe like 4 versus 1? Because dead in the middle of the day kind of disrupts if I have to do
Okay.
on-sites and things.
All
like
right.
that.
Yeah,
Then 4, I don't know what Kwame's schedule is like. Is 4 o'clock an easier time for you on Monday?
it is, but I'm on vacation until, the 20th.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay.
that's all right.
But he
Then-
also, he already took the course. So,
So he really doesn't need the information you're gonna pass along because he already has it.
but they would need to be able, I guess, to voice his opinion as to things that we.
Nicole, how about your time frame?
I can make pretty much anything work. I also attended that workshop or whatever it's called, class.
The class.
Kwame, is there another time?
For another day.
I mean, I'm available,
I don't want to do it on the 11th. That's too soon.
right, I mean, the 20th, the 21st, 22nd, the 25th. I mean, I'm back from vacation.
The Thursday, the 21st. How's everybody on that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Thursday, the 21st.
Uh-huh.
I believe I'm free.
Yeah, I'm free.
Okay.
Me too.
Me
If Dave
too.
brings pizza, I'll be there early.
Okay,
It's actually
Dave,
not a bad idea.
Dave,
That is
how
not a
about
bad
you?
idea.
Can you arrange for an agenda and a meeting room on July 21st at 4 PM?
I will get that in the works, yes.
Okay, yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
And please send us all an email so I can put it in my reminders because I'm too brain dead to remember and I won't show up.
Okay,
Yes, I
Um,
will definitely, once I confirm the meeting room location, then I will send an email so everybody knows where they're supposed to be.
okay.
Okay,
Now,
very good.
Nicole, you're on the calendar for the Board of Selectmen on July 12th to
Yes,
be
I am.
interviewed for your moving from associate to a full member.
Yay.
Correct.
I just wanted to remind you.
Yes, I got the
Their
email
meeting-
invite today.
And they're meeting in person, so they will be in room 320 of the Multi-Service Center.
Correct.
Is there anything else on other business we wanted to discuss before someone says goodnight?
Good night.
I one more question.
Well, Denise had to
One more
hold.
question.
Fine.
I wanted to know, Dave, if you got to take a look at what Elisa pointed out was wrong with Harbor View. She said there were some violations that had occurred. They went beyond what we allowed them to do.
I have been to that site and they did do some work that was outside the limit of work that was approved. So I've spoken to the contractor about that. They did have the hay bales in place, but for whatever reason, they did alter some of the land outside of that. No erosion or anything has occurred into any wetlands. And I'm pretty sure that's one we did under an RDA. I don't think we did that under an order of conditions. So I've indicated that they have to put some additional erosion control in to cover that disturbed section. That's really, I think, the extent of what we would be able to require for such a thing.
All right, I just wanted to note that it had gotten addressed. And also, I turned in my forms to you for reimbursement. I don't know what we're supposed to, is there anything else we need to do with that? Because the three of us attended it, I don't know.
Yeah, no, all those have been submitted and those have been okayed to be paid. So you should be getting checks, if not this week, the following week.
So everybody's got a W-9 on file?
Well, they didn't need it. It was because it was just sort of a one-time
Okay.
reimbursement. It was
Oh,
not required.
Surprised, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If we plan on taking any more courses, then what would we need to do? Same thing, or am I hearing that we need to file something else?
No, you don't need to file anything else, but one thing that I did want to bring up, and I am going to put it on next week's agenda, is we did get the bill for MACC dues for this fiscal year. So once we pay that, then the classes will be a little cheaper. And if people say that there's something of interest far enough in advance, we could potentially get that bill paid prior to the class so that you don't have to go the route of getting reimbursed and all that.
Okay.
If something comes up fairly soon and there's not time enough for the town to generate a check to pay for it, then we may have to do the reimbursement thing again, just based on the timing of how quickly something comes up that people want to attend.
Yeah, there's a free one coming up, actually. A free lunchtime.
Free is for me,
thing.
you know?
Yeah, free is great. But I can't remember the date of it. I have to go back and look. I have to go back and look because I wanted to let everybody know about it. I'll put it out I'll find it and then I'll put it out in an email and let everybody know.
Thank
you.
Is there anything else?
Oh, man.
What?
Did
For
you
anybody,
actually say the words that we're closing this darn meeting?
before you do, for
Oh.
anybody who may be around, I will have documents to sign by 9:30 tomorrow. If you, for some reason, can't make it tomorrow, then of course, Monday is fine as well.
And before we adjourn, the next meeting, July 20th, will be in room 320 of the Multi-Service Center, in person, face to face.
All right.
Hey,
Been a while.
Okay,
cares?
Carol, say the words.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Oh, so moved. 9:41. Thank you, everyone. Say goodnight. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.